Hello, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Moran, and I'm here with River Brown and Velez and Dehls. And in this episode, OG joins us to talk about the in-season tournament, Tyrese Haliburton's leap, Zion Williamson, has he been a disappointment, the Lakers, and more. Welcome back to the show, OG.
Fellas, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing today, man? What's going on?
Doing great. There's a lot of things to talk about on the show that I'm really excited about. We had a mini debate about it yesterday before we did the Patreon episode. Me and Riv did. I don't know what's going to happen on the show. I really don't.
You don't know what's happening? I think you do know what's going to happen.
Let it be known. We weren't debating. Neither one of us was hating. We were debating on difference of how we're looking at.
I don't know. You were a little bit hard-headed yesterday.
Well, that has nothing to do with hating. So once again, like I said,
hating,
neither one of us were hating.
Both being
I think, Drew's gonna do what he does, glaze on the side over there. But for the most part, I think we were just having a conversation about difference of how we look at things.
OG, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm running good, man. I'm running good. This in-season tournament. I'm slowly but surely I'm getting on the hook, man. I wasn't a fan of it initially. I really wasn't. But as time has gone on, the competition level has been great. I'm thinking to myself though, Joe, I'm like, all right, what happens when we get back to the regular season? How do we keep this kind of energy? I mean, don't get me wrong, the Celtics and the Knicks are going tonight, which I'm going to tune into that. But other than that, I mean, how do this kind of energy, this kind of competition, this is fantastic.
That's a great point. And I think that's something we're going to try to answer on this show. How are you doing, Drew?
I'm doing pretty damn good. You have a ticket giveaway to announce real quick. But before we get into that, definitely feel pretty solid. My Lakers, of course, are going to the inaugural championship of the in-season tournament. We laid an ass beating. I was a little bit bittersweet about it because, of course, my Lakers are going to the finals. LeBron James, 38-5 in under 25 minutes. I mean, we're talking about the greatest to ever do it. But at the same time, Lakers kind of cost me a bag.
Yes.
They kind of cost me a bag. And I say the Lakers cost me when in reality it was the Pelicans. Those frauds didn't show up. But you know what? There's multiple ways to look at it. I'm happy about it because my Lakers are moving on. Also, anytime we play the Pelicans, we give them that work to just continue to emphasize the idea that they may have even by any means won that trade. Ridiculous statement. But then the Pelicans getting blown out by 40 points. LeBron again, 38-5 and under 25. AD doesn't play the entire fourth. You cost me my money. I'm going to be upset about that.
And Mr. Dehls here, I mean, he got a birthday coming up tomorrow. It's Mr. Dehls' birthday.
Yes, sir.
Old man Dehls over here.
Big 2-6. Shout out to my guy Dan though, because
Don't do that to him.
my birthday tomorrow. My boy Dan, he just got a house. He just got engaged. So shout out to my guy Dan.
Making your birthday about other people. This guy's
I'm not a me guy. I'm a we guy. You know what I mean?
Something goes hand in hand with birthdays. That's presents. And we got a present to announce today on this show. And that's a ticket giveaway. If you guys download PrizePicks and use code PAS, you will be entered for a chance to win 2 NBA tickets with a $200 value, which means that we made sure to make it 2 tickets so that you can go and you don't feel lonely. So you could bring a friend, you could bring a family member, you could bring a girl, whoever you want to bring. It don't matter. You can bring whoever you want to bring. That's why we did 2 tickets. All you got to do is download PrizePicks, use code PAS, and just put done in the comment section down below. You can send us a picture of you doing it on Twitter, on Instagram, but we trust your word at it. So if you guys just want to put done on the YouTube comments, we trust you guys enough to be like, okay, this guy did it. He's good.
Last thing I want to say before we get into our show. Shout out to my Uncle Joey.
Shout out Uncle Joey.
He goes, and now he's doing his own YouTube channel where it's
shout out the credit card connection.
Connection. Yo, Joel is.
I'm here.
He's probably more in tune than I am. Honestly, he goes and he watches almost every single video because he's trying to learn about credit cards. You're trying to learn about all the bonuses that you can gain through certain cards. He's been huge in our process, actually, when it comes to pick a size and businesses and our expenses. He goes and he helps me out in trying to decide which card that we should use that would benefit our business the most. But this guy's been on a grind like I wouldn't believe. 2 million points that he's accrued through all these. If he's at 15 cards at this point in time, I wouldn't doubt it. But again, 2 million points in just under a year, aka he's spending a lot of money and he's also taking advantage of a lot of rewards. So I wanted to give him that love. I was on his channel the other. Let me not say the other day. This was like about a month ago. But keep doing your thing, Uncle Joe. Just want to give you that love.
Shout out to Uncle Joey. This is going to be a jam-packed show.
Holy fucking moly. So you're just going to ask how his day was, ask how his day was.
I'm glad he brought that up, Joe, because I'm looking at Rib and I'm thinking, Rib, where you at right now? Because
where
you at, Rib?
And I sat
Where
here,
are you right
and I was looking
Where you
straight,
at?
and I was like, when is he ever going to ask me how my day
That's what I was thinking, looking at you,
Rib.
Rib. I'm like, where's Rib?
It just, yo, what's up? Like, what's going on?
Yo, you are never beating these allegations.
When you show up late, you get the late response.
This is, you know what? I know what's going on here. I'm not
clear.
too much.
Clear
But
as
it's
day.
clear, yeah.
Clear as day.
He's never beating.
So how's your day going, Rick?
My day was cool, man. I don't even want to talk about my day no more. Let's get to the show, man.
Don't play the victim. How was your day,
Sounds
bro?
like my
Come
girl
on.
when we're fighting. I'm good.
Listen,
Don't worry
man,
about me.
I had a good day.
How was the scrimmage the other day?
20 points. We won.
Tough.
Best team in the
Like-
league.
And this is without your guards, this is without your big, right?
No, the big king.
Okay.
He
tough.
arrived. Needed
Tough.
him.
He-
Yes.
he's better than anticipated?
No, but he's good.
He's as expected.
Yes.
Got
He's
it.
the biggest player in the league. So,
Damn, you gotta be good.
it's kind of like Shaq.
You
isn't
just
it?
know how to draft.
No, he was a player that got put on my team. He wasn't even at the draft.
Like Austin Reeves type?
Sure.
Why wasn't he drafted?
Came late. So he wasn't at draft day. He came a week after. And there was like a dude named Caesars on your team. I didn't know who he was. I was like, all right, sure, cool. He walked into the gym. He's like 6'5". I was like,
UDFA. Hey, you need those UDFAs to step up, man.
yeah, so he's a starter now. So
He's 6'5". What grade are
Hey,
you
that's
coaching?
nuts.
he's 8th.
Yeah,
He's an
6'5" at
6'5" and
13.
8th grade.
And he's not 6'5" skinny. No, he's 6'5".
Got
Like
some.
big.
yeah.
Yeah. So he scares me.
That reminds me of me, honestly.
I don't yell at him or nothing.
He can do whatever he wants.
The first time we had you on the show, OG, we talked
Mhm.
about the NBA in-season tournament, and I think, listen, you don't have to feel too bad about it because I think everybody had a similar opinion. How is the in-season tournament going to work? There's too many unknowns. Is this actually going to make the regular season better? Then we see how it's playing out, and what is your new and informed opinion about what you've seen from the NBA in-season tournament?
Well, the competition level is great. Like we wouldn't have. I don't think that we would have these kind of games without the in-season tournament in terms of incentive. I don't think that we would have that without the in-season tournament. I mean, we'd have games like maybe 1 or 2 games, but this right here with the in-season tournament, with the $500,000 purse for each guy, it's not like split up between the entire team. No, it's $500,000 each. So these guys have an actual incentive to play for, plus the in-season tournament trophy, plus the MVP. And I don't think we're going to find out how big a deal the in-season tournament is for years to come because we're only in the inaugural stage, right? So I don't think we're going to find out about how big a deal it is later on. But I'm having a really good time watching this because we get to see guys like Kevin Durant and James. This is the most that we've seen Kevin Durant and James since 18-19. We haven't seen these guys this much since the 18-19 season. Now, health was an issue, but other than that, we haven't seen these guys this much. We've missed out on a lot of years. We've gotten introduced more to Tyrese Haliburton, right? We've gotten introduced to a whole bunch of other guys throughout the season, this early season, that we didn't know about, that we're seeing more of. So I think this is great. I do. I think this is great.
I'm in total agreement with OG. The only concern I have with the in-season tournament is I just really hope they make adjustments to it. I want it to be longer. OG made a point before the show about how the in-season tournament, after this is done, what type of level of basketball we're going to see in the regular season again. And I think the solution to that is extending the in-season tournament. Make the group play the month of November and December. Christmas games can be in-season tournament group play games, and that can be the final stage to either get in or get eliminated. So it makes Christmas games that much more important and just feel like a playoff atmosphere. And then January can be the playoffs for the NBA Cup. I think this is a great idea. I wasn't a big fan of it at first, but this has brought out a lot of viewers to the NBA. And I think a player who's benefited the most is Tyrese Haliburton. We're going to talk about him later on the show, but this is somebody that before the NBA in-season tournament, he's only played on national TV once. So everybody knew he was good, but didn't know he was this good. And people finally getting to see him on a national stage, they're like, wow, this guy's actually great. And I think players like that will benefit from small markets that get to play on a national stage on these standalone games. They benefit the most. And right now they got a chance to win the NBA Cup because of that.
I think everyone was skeptical just to see how the players would react to it. Like, are the players going to care as much as we want them to care? And they have. We'll talk about, like OG said, the actual impact of it is yet to see, but you could see the confidence just out of this Pacers team. Like, I don't think the Pacers would have this type of confidence if they were just doing this in just regular season games, going through the motions. But the fact they're doing it in the in-season tournament, and I think I want to see it extended, but I also love how important each game is, right? We had 4 games was it prior in the group stage, so I don't want to extend it too much. I feel like 10 might be the cap, because if you play like 15-20 games now, you could start off 0-4 and be able to bounce back. But now that we only have 4 games, I'm thinking ahead to next year, because I feel like I still didn't really fully understand how important each game was, especially with point differential and whatnot. But the fact that there's only 4 games, you're going into every game saying this is a must win. It has a very much NFL type feel, where every week is so important because there's only 17 weeks in the NFL. That's kind of how the in-season tournaments felt up to this point.
Yeah, Riff.
I think for me, being a fan, we've grown accustomed to the older players in the league kind of taking October, November, December as like the adjustment period, or it's kind of like not taking it too serious because they're kind of waiting for, basketball in April. But I think with the in-season tournament, what it brought was, like Joel mentioned, like OG mentioned, a little bit more excitement in November, a little bit more excitement in December, and maybe not the exact playoff atmosphere, but a little bit of a vibe to it. Definitely a sense of, you can feel the fans get into it. You can see the players take it, and the players aren't upset that they're losing, but they're definitely taking it more serious than what we thought at first. So I think for me as a fan, it's definitely become more exciting just to watch these young teams like the Pelicans, like the Kings, like the Pacers go up against these veteran teams, and play tough competition. Teams like the Nets take it serious. Teams like the Orlando Magic take it serious. OKC and the Warriors and stuff like that. So to watch it be as competitive as it is and bring out the competition this early, I definitely think it gives it a positive benefit. The one thing I don't like is some of the courts. They suck. They are just absolutely god-awful. It's hard to watch.
Silver spoke about it. Did you hear he's going to have potentially
some games are legitimately hard to watch because with your eyes, it's hard to see that court. But for the most part, like Dehls mentioned, they did an A+ in terms of just the first year, testing out the waters. Next year, they're going to make obvious adjustments, and they're going to continue to improve it every year. But first year, I like what I'm seeing. Gives a good vibe. I enjoyed it as a fan.
And get home court advantage back too. The Vegas vibe was not the same. Like that Indy Celtics
wasn't it like
game,
a 2
bro,
p.m. game?
Insane. It was.
I'm glad you brought that up, Dell. I'm really glad you brought that up, Dell, because I was going to ask you guys, how do you feel about having this like the All-Star game? All right, it was in Vegas this year. How about we have it in Seattle next year? How about we move it to a different city where, and I'm not saying like move it to New York, because that gives the Knicks or Brooklyn an advantage, but just to test it out right now, where we don't have a team in Seattle, and Seattle is a big time basketball city. So to have the in-season tournament Final Four in Seattle, how big a deal would that be? Just like it was in Vegas.
That'd be dope. Because Vegas gives me summer league vibes.
That's fair. Well, we were just there.
It gives me complete rookie vibes, summer league vibes, just chill vibes.
Also, when you watch the game, it seemed as if they had the entire crowd blacked out and the only light was on the center court. Right? I didn't like that at all. It seemed more so
see the crowd.
Right? The crowd's definitely an important part to the game. And when you're watching the Lakers and the Pelicans game, it was evident. This was a Lakers home game. You heard just the crowd, their energy anytime the Lakers did anything or anytime the Pelicans were doing anything, you heard the fans boo. But real quick on the Adam Silver point with the courts, he spoke about it. He's like, hey, you know what? I definitely understand where people are coming from, but at least next year there's room for creativity. He mentioned something about like a Louis Vuitton court, which would be crazy. A Skims court potentially also.
That means OKC,
right? So it's like, hey, you can get sponsors into the courts as well, and then they do their own designs. That'd be pretty solid. But end of the day, these guys want to win, right? When you have something on the line, when there are some serious stakes, these players are going to win, and I think that are going to want to win. And I think that with this in-season tournament, it also could set up rivalries down the line. Look at this Milwaukee Bucks and Pacers game when Tyrese Haliburton says, I know what time it is. He's pointing to his wrist. He says, I know what time it is. And the reporters ask Dame about it, and he says, hey, I respect it. It's also a respecting to me, where he acknowledges who I am as a player. But you know what? It's also, hey, if I'm dishing out, I got to be able to take it. But at the same time, you got to be humble because sometimes things can turn around and now the joke's on you. So now we're looking at that as a potential matchup later down the line of a Reese versus a Damian Lillard. And now I'm paying a little bit more attention to how Dame carries themselves in those games. So when there are stakes, there's definitely a different level of competitiveness that is shown. I think that I was having conversations when I was on the Off the Glass podcast. Shout out to my guy, Billy. He came with the idea that the championship, why isn't it on Christmas Day? Why didn't we extend it to where all eyes are on the television on Christmas Day regardless? Let's have one of the bigger games of the season on Christmas Day. We're already drawing attention. I think that'll definitely draw more eyes to it and have people have a drive more to want to care about the in-season tournament. You mentioned January. Wouldn't be opposed to that either because that gives you February, March, April to get right for playoff time. That's cool with me too. But again, I thought that was a solid idea out of him. Championship on Christmas Day, something exciting to watch on a day that we're already watching basketball. But the in-season tournament, amazing idea. Definitely something that's going to get us more riled up about the regular season than we're already locked in.
And I love the fact that he kept the schedule blank just for the playoff. Like Tuesday, Saturday, Thursday, that was just solely for the in-season. So you just only can watch those games. You have whether it's on TNT or whatever it was, like 7:30. Those are the games. I love the fact that they just made it important, made it a fact that this is what we're going to dedicate ourselves to. Because you didn't want to have that on plus a couple other games. Yeah. Somebody might not watch. They might just watch your team. So I also like that idea.
And then we also get a solid matchup with the Knicks losing to the Bucks, the Celtics losing to the Pacers. Now we get to watch the Celtics versus the Knicks. And you know what I'm saying? Like that's a great matchup that we would have wanted to see maybe in the end season, but regardless, we're still seeing it. So I thought that was well done by them too.
Adam Silver essentially said that the court designs were last minute, which kind of proves to why they were so bad because they were last minute. And I think now if they have more time to create good courts, they will create good courts. I agree with the color schemes of some of them. Some of them are way too strong on your eyes.
The solid colors.
The Lakers one was abysmal.
So bad, was bad.
Yeah, it's the solid colors when they're just all like yellow or blue.
I didn't hate
red.
the Suns. The purple one,
the blue was fucking my eye because it was so bright. Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't see it. Like I was like, nah, I can't.
The best courts were the Timberwolves court because it was a light baby blue. Yeah. Orlando Magic had a great court. It was a grayish one. The Mavs had a great court. Just all the Nets did too. Like all the courts that didn't have colors that were overbearing. All of them that just had neutral colors. They were the best ones. Yes.
I also think that the in-season tournament, well, what it does is it sparks more fan interest. See, guys like Riv, guys like Drew, guys like Dell, Joe, you guys are already on the hook. They already got us. We're going to watch Charlotte and Boston on League Pass in January. They already got us on the hook. Who they're trying to get on the hook is the casual fan. They're trying to get that person to get attracted to the game more, to find out who is Tyrese Haliburton, right? Who is Zion Williamson? Who are these guys that I have no idea who they are? Who is Anthony Edwards? Why am I not paying more attention to him? I think these are the guys that they're trying. I think these are the people that they're trying to get attracting them more. Plus, I think it amplifies what the regular season is. So, for example, what we just saw yesterday with the Bucks and the Indiana Pacers. Well, first of all, Joe, that's a division game. So this is a preview possibly to what the playoffs are going to look like. So when you see these two teams maybe in January again, well, we saw what they did to us in the in-season tournament. Well, we get late into the season where we're jockeying for position. We may have to see these guys. Well, the Indiana Pacers, they've already seen what a playoff atmosphere looks like because that's what that was basically, right? So then when they get to the playoffs, and I don't mean that game right there. I mean when they played against Boston. That game when they played against Boston, that gave me game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinals vibes, right? Where the Celtics are up 2-0 and we got to win this game, or otherwise we go down 3-0. So you got these two teams in Boston, in Indiana, and Milwaukee in the same division. Now these guys are jockeying for playoff position. These are going to be implications moving later on down the line, in addition to possibly winning the tournament. So I think it legitimizes, I think it amplifies, not legitimizes, I think it amplifies the regular season, especially when you're talking about division rivals.
And then amplification, you want to talk about that when we have discussions about debates. Look about narratives that we're having on Milwaukee. Oh, is this a serious team? Narratives about Devin Booker and elimination games. Narratives about the Knicks. Are they too young? Do they need to go and they need to add a veteran piece? We just had a discussion on BR. There's now discussions and debates being drawn up about the in-season tournament because of the stakes, because it's single game elimination. How are you going to show up when your back's against the wall? this is also going to help a lot of debates down the line as well. Or let me not say help, but ignite some debates too, which is ultimately what we're trying to do, drive conversation. And that's exactly what they're doing with the in-season tournament.
You got, the Tyrese versus Steph from his MVP season up there. Now you got Tyrese for SGA.
That was crazy.
A lot of it's coming from this in-season tournament because Tyrese these last 2 games has played as good as anybody in the league. And it's so important that the league did get a bit lucky because obviously I don't believe into the whole, like, this is rigged or not, but the fact that LeBron James, the face of the NBA, what he did last night, where he just took over from the get-go and basically treated this like a playoff game, saying, because you guys were down early in the first quarter at least, right? And he basically was taking over. It was close, but there was at least a time where the Pelicans were on a little run. LeBron's taking over, and he's like, I'm just going to put my head down, get to the basket, and just get bucket after bucket after bucket. And you saw that first half. I mean, by the end of the first half, it's like, this game's over. I'm going into last night. I got Patriots and Steelers, Mitch Trubisky and Bailey Zappi. I'm like, thank God the in-season tournament is on. Watching the in-season tournament, LeBron takes over and blows out the Pelicans by 30 in the third quarter. All of a sudden, I thought the Pats came back, and so this is a blowout. So I also think the league really lucked out that LeBron is able. They won their group stage, then they went and first game of the tournament, he goes on and puts on a show.
Listen, LeBron can't have enough, man. You got to win everything. I respect it at this point. God damn it. Let the Kings as Pelicans win something like that and go to the finals.
Oh, absolutely not, because you know what's going to happen. Let's say we would have lost yesterday and LeBron played bad. What are we doing? LeBron, he's washed. He's not the same old guy. When we need him, he's not going to pull through. But what does he do? Guys, that gives you 38 and 5. But again, let's say LeBron loses in the in-season finals. What are they going to do? Hey, 4-7 in the finals, another loss on his resume. But that's why you got to take when you're at that level. Like if you are Steph Curry, if you are Kevin Durant, they're going to try and find a way to bring this into your conversation for the grand scheme of things when it comes to resumes. But hey, why don't you just go ahead and ball the hell out, win the in-season tournament so you can just have something else added to your page.
If he wins, is he 5-6? If he
5-6, OG, I wouldn't say no.
I'm just wondering.
I wouldn't say no.
That kind of logic, if he loses, is going to be 4-7. But if he wins, is he 5-6?
You know how people are going to be. Nick Wright drew it up perfect. And when it comes to anything not LeBron, Nick Wright and I don't see eye to eye. But he said some facts. He says there's certain scenarios that could happen that would be beneficial and wouldn't be good. Worst one would be he goes to the finals, plays bad, and loses in the finals. That's the worst because people are going to go crazy. Best case scenario, he balls out and he wins in-season tournament MVP. Or not as good of a case. He wins the in-season tourney. He's not the tournament MVP, and it goes to an Anthony Davis because then, quote unquote, he got carried. There's
still those conversations about LeBron that he's not going to show up or choke or anything like that. Joel, do you know who you're talking about? You live more in the LeBron world than me, so I'll let you speak.
I feel like more AD slander.
I feel like I'm so over. Like I know LeBron's going to show up. I'm not worried about LeBron.
This really is like the first season. I feel it as if, as a whole, there's been almost zero disrespect on LeBron's name because, again, 38, going to be 39 in a couple of weeks. He's averaging the most points in anybody, like not even close in year 21. He's playing arguably better than he did last season. It just looks like he has more juice behind him. There's nothing you could say that could criticize LeBron at this point in time.
One moment, I just realized you took the Bills over KC.
It's a do or die game.
Wow. Okay.
I was shocked too.
But they're not. But honestly, I was looking at that. That's I might regret it because the Chiefs, off a loss, they have one of the best records.
I knew Red would be there. I thought you for sure go KC.
I was thinking about it. They have one of the best records after a loss in history.
Drew, are we not gonna? Don't get me wrong. I thought that the competition, and I still feel like the competition in the in-season tournament is fantastic, but are we not going to discuss why these teams are the way they are? Like, I'm watching the Milwaukee Bucks, and I cannot handle Damian Lillard on the defensive side of the basketball. I can't do it. I'm trying. I'm just hitting Zion. Pardon me, Zion. There's still room. We're talking about a guy in Damian Lillard who this has always been who he is. This is a guy who he doesn't get around screens. He doesn't get the effort after he gets beat. He wants to get back to the basketball. He has no idea where he is in rotations. These and his pickup points are terrible. Not only are his pickup points terrible, when I'm watching him in transition, how he's trotting back on defense and pointing at Tyrese Haliburton. Meanwhile, Drew Holiday would find Tyrese Haliburton in transition. He's not pointing to he's not pointing to Moshan Beauchamp. He's not pointing to him to grab him, even though he didn't score. His transition defense is terrible. Don't get me wrong. He'll get going in terms of his shooting, but his ability to defend and keep his team in games, this Milwaukee Bucks defense scares the life out of me. I think they're in the bottom 6 or the bottom 7 in the league in points per game given up. That's largely due to their perimeter defense. And that starts with Damian Lillard. If you watch him, just him defensively, don't get me wrong. I watched Brook Lopez close out late. I watch him close out high where Miles Turner is getting past him. That's an adjustment from coaching, and I think we're gonna go over that with about Bobby Portis. But this Milwaukee team, I'm really worried about them defensively. I am.
One thing I'll say is because I did my homework on the Milwaukee Bucks too. The issue is their defense. They are I think they rank 22nd in terms of defensive rating. But what was Damian Lillard brought to this team to do? To score.
I mean,
to help get buckets.
He wasn't brought to not play defense.
I mean, but you knew what you were getting from Damian Lillard.
So we clear, Riv. Okay, just so we clear, Riv. I want to make sure that
we knew what we were getting out of Damian Lillard, but what they needed was a boost in offense. So what's Milwaukee now, as opposed to last year being a sub middle of the packed offense? Right now, they're top 3 in offensive rating, number 2 in effective field goal, number 2 in true shooting percentage. This is what you brought Damian Lillard to do, and he hasn't even gotten to the baseline of what we've seen Damian Lillard. Right now, he's shooting 43% from the field. I think just under 37% from 3. He hasn't even gotten going yet, but still we're seeing this Milwaukee offense be one of the better offenses in the game. They're still winning games. Yeah, they lost to Indiana last night. Yes, their defense was bad, OG, no doubt. Damian Lillard, yeah, he's not a good defensive player, but he wasn't brought here for defense. You traded away an obvious elite perimeter defender because he couldn't get you to the heights of Damian Lillard on the offensive side of the ball. And ultimately, what wins you games is putting the ball in the cup. And Damian Lillard does that better than almost every other guard in the game.
Well, here's the difference, though, Drew. The difference is that, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years ago, there was a parade in Milwaukee. So that's not true. That's number one. Number two, we're talking about a Milwaukee Bucks team who yesterday, this is the 5th time that they've given up 120 plus at this time of the season. This time last year, they had given up 120 one time. They had held teams to 98 or less 5 times. They only held one team at this point this season to 98. You're not going to win. You're not going to win when you're not stopping teams, because offensively, as good as they are, we've seen Giannis disappear, right? As good as Giannis is defensively, as good as Giannis is as a scorer, as good as Giannis is offensively, we've seen him disappear. And we've also seen Damian Lillard, after the first round, he goes the other way in some aspect. So I am worried about that. Don't get me wrong. I can appreciate.
We're talking about. I'm sorry to interrupt you, OG.
Keep going. Keep going.
But again, we're talking about a Milwaukee Bucks team that won that championship 3 years ago
because of defense.
And let's correct. Not going to say you're wrong.
They weren't a good offensive.
They were actually they below average. Offense.
And go look at Drew Holiday's numbers. His offensive stats were not that good. But let's look at the year that they lost to the Celtics. Right. Riv, I'm not trying to single you out. I just know that you respected Drew Holiday's defense. You thought that he could go into that series versus Boston and do a good enough job on Jason Tatum to stop him and ultimately get past the Boston Celtics. Wasn't able to do so. Last year versus the Miami Heat, he had the task of guarding up against a Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler had one of the better first-round series that we've seen out of an NBA player.
So here's my rebuttal to that. Because I'm very confused on why we're giving Dame a pass if we bash guards like Trae Young.
Do I bash?
Like, we bash guards. Like, I'm not saying you. You're giving him a pass.
Just this is I'm saying consistent.
He was brought here for offense, but you got to show some effort on the defensive end.
I don't
and
disagree.
You just brought up Drew Holiday. If Drew Holiday got cooked against the Celtics, they lost in 6. He got cooked against Jimmy Butler. They lost in 5 or whatever it was, right? They lost in whatever, right? So now he's gone. You plug in Dame. What's now what? So it's like, who are they going to stop?
They're still winning games.
Here's how you put it. A tough bucket now becomes a guaranteed bucket.
Yeah, for everybody.
Okay, I understand that, but now you can still score and go tit for tat with these guys.
Yeah, you can definitely score. Now it's just an offensive battle for sure. But now you're looking at teams like Miami that can get stops when they need to. Like, you're looking at teams like Philly that can get stops, like Boston that can get stops. The Bucks used to be that where they can get stops.
Definitely.
Now you're a team that you can't get a stop. You have to go down, and just like the Pacers, you have to go down and score every single time And if you don't, you can lose this game. With these teams like Boston, like Miami, like Philly, like these teams can get stops.
I don't disagree.
So it's like Dame, and as Dame is a great player, I'm not saying he's not, but I think the whole team is just as bad defensively. They don't have the personnel to do it. But, and Giannis, as great as he is a defender, he just can't. He can only do so much. Him and Brooks. So
and Drew, I don't want to leave out Drew. I don't want to leave out Drew hunting these guys. Like, for example, and I've always been an advocate of people saying that they hide other guys. You can't hide guys, and the reason why you can't hide guys because we know who they are. What you can do is you can protect them. So the Golden State Warriors did a great job in protecting Steph Curry during that championship run. They did a great job in protecting him. I don't think that the Milwaukee Bucks can protect Dame Lillard. I don't think that they can protect him.
And they can't protect Dame.
But why is that his fault?
They can't. What do you mean? He can't play defense.
No, but you're saying,
so they can't protect other guys.
But that's exactly what I'm saying.
Dame cannot be protected because they don't have any good perimeter defenders.
See, but again,
they only have Giannis and Lopez.
In Dame to score. What you should have done was understand, like we all did before the season started. You said you're trading defense.
Stop playing. Like you don't even put effort.
Agreed.
We're asking for the effort.
But it's early in the season. It's the in-season tournament. You are trying to win, but at the same time, they don't have the.
Yo, I ain't buying that neither, Joe. I'm not trying to hit that neither, Joe.
And I don't have.
I'm not trying to hit that neither, Joe.
Dame has never.
I'm not
shown effort in his career.
But on the offensive side of the ball, you've already gained.
I don't want to hear about giving Dame time. This is who
I'm not. Oh no, I'm talking about the Milwaukee Bucks as a whole.
The effort that Dame shows on
because
defense
they've already gone from bottom
what
3. They've gone from bottom 3 to now 22, which is still an improvement.
The Bucks are not going to win the championship. They're not.
No, it's not, Drew. It's not an improvement. See, that's when you let them off the hook. It's not an improvement, Joe. You just suck
on
less.
The offensive side of the ball.
That's all you do. You still garbage. You just suck less. That's what you're doing.
That's an improvement. Oh, gee, that's still an improvement. Whether it sounds better coming out of
you got to get into the top 15 before I'm talking about improvement, man. 26 to 22. It's like
they went from bottom 3 to 22.
The Wizards twice.
Yeah, no, understandable.
They played the Wizards.
They also played the first half yesterday.
And that's why when this trade was made, I wasn't a believer in the Bucks coming out of the East because their defense, they don't have anybody that can stop nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are relying on offense to win you games and you have the Celtics who have better offensive talent as a whole, and they have the defensive personnel to stop you offensively, you're not going to beat a team like that. I think Miami has a great shot against them. And I think if there's any year,
I don't feel that way.
If there's any year for the Philadelphia 76ers to come out the East,
there it is.
It's this one. It is this one.
You know what's coming.
Philadelphia plays well against the Bucks.
They can beat the Bucks. They match up well against them.
Though. No,
Boston is a question mark, but going into a series,
Boston plays the Heat in round 2, and then you never know.
Going into a series, when you look at Nick Nurse versus Joe Mazzulla, who do you trust in that series to coach up the better game plan? You trust Nick Nurse. This is their best chance because of the inexperience in coaching in the Eastern Conference. And then the Miami Heat have Spo, but the talent isn't up to par with Philly. I think Philadelphia is a little bit more talented than the Miami Heat, but they need Embiid to be healthy for the playoffs. This is just a gut feeling I have, and this is a hot take, but I think this early into the season, I don't know if it's Giannis and Dame that they're both in on it. I don't know if it's just Dame. I think they're trying to get Adrian Griffin fired.
Damn,
I think he is going to be a one and done head coach. And the reason I say that is because after the in-season tournament loss last night, what report came out immediately after that? Bobby Portis
passionately.
Bobby Portis
confronted the team. He confronted Adrian Griffin. He called him out in front of the team, which shows me
a lack of word passionately. I know they were getting after it. They were getting after Adrian
Griffin. Well, all offseason long, who was Chris Haynes connected to? It was Damian Lillard. Chris Haynes is connected to Dame. Dame most definitely leaked that information so Chris Haynes can put it out and make Adrian Griffin look bad. And is it warranted? Because this year Dame is 49th in usage. He's 23rd in usage amongst guards. So Dame probably doesn't feel like he's getting utilized correctly on the offensive side of the ball. You blame that on coaching. And Giannis multiple times this season, the one that sticks out to me the most versus Boston when Griffin took him out the game prematurely. Griffin is going for a high five and Giannis just shrugs him off. It doesn't look like Giannis is on the same page with Griffin. Dame is not on the same page with Griffin. These reports are coming out. I think he's going to be a one-and-done head coach.
Wasn't Giannis in the discussions, though, when it comes to head coach hiring?
Anybody that
he actually endorsed him, if I'm not mistaken. He actually endorsed Adrian.
He did endorse him, but what's interesting about that situation is that last minute, Nick Nurse withdrew his name from the coaching race. I think that Giannis's first option was always Nick Nurse because of that championship experience. And then Adrian Griffin was just like the other guy out of other candidates that probably didn't impress Giannis much. And he just went with a gut feeling. I think he can be the guy for the job. And then they got Adrian Griffin in there. But I don't ever think that Griffin was the first option. Nick Nurse was the first option.
He was the best available.
He was, and he withdrew his name. Now, why did he withdraw his name? Who knows? But it could be because of Nick Nurse looking at the roster, looking at the personnel, looking at this roster's older, and there's no room for it to get much better going forward. Maybe that's why, but who knows?
That's what we said. With that being said, though, Drew, does this validate Terry Stouts? Because Terry Stouts was looking at this whole thing going, this dude doesn't know what he's doing.
True.
And I can do a better job than he can. And ultimately, those two guys started butting heads because he has been coaching Dame for the last 4 or 5 years.
How long?
And he did take they did end up in the Western Conference Championship, and he did take that
swept.
He did. They were swept out 100%, and that was largely due to the defense on Damian Lillard's part. He does not play championship level defense. However, I think that Terry Stouts was looking at this group, going, "I can do a better job," and he's looking at a coach in Adrian Griffin thinking, I am a better coach than him. And because of that, guys like Bobby Portis, I heard Giannis yesterday say, we need to be more prepared. We need to be better prepared. That's coaching.
Yeah.
That's nothing more than coaching. When a player says we need to be more prepared, there's no way that I think that Tyrese Haliburton and Miles Turner and Naismith are just going to give us the game. Okay, sure. That's effort. But ultimately, we are talking about coaching. When we got a guy in Brook Lopez who's closing out too high and getting beat to the basket and there's no rim protection. When you got a guy in Damian Lillard who's not even getting screened, but not giving any effort to even stick with his guy. Why isn't he sitting on the bench? Get Dame off the floor. Dame needs to come sit down because I need a better effort out of you defensively. And if I'm not going to get that, then you're going to sit here. I don't care that you're on the books for $50 million. We're trying to win. And you as a leader on this crew, you have to give us a better effort, and you're not doing that. That's coaching right there. That's leadership.
You know what, OG, and I can respect you still tying that back into Dame, because my question was immediately about to be, well, we were very just uber critical on Damian Lillard, and when we were having that discussion on Dame, not a single word was spoken about an AJ Griffin, with the idea we were going to talk about him later in the show, but now we're talking about him. So now, is it as much as we're going to talk about Dame when we should be talking about the pieces as a whole around them? And then on top of it, what has AJ Griffin also done to improve the situation? Of course, Giannis is going to go out there and give you his 30 like he does every single night. He's going to do that because that's what we've seen out of Giannis for the last 7 years. Going with Damian Lillard, of course he's going to be on the court where, like I mentioned, he hasn't even hit his full stride offensively. We're seeing him hover around a little below his career average in terms of field goal percentage. But when it comes to defensive side of the ball, right, you knew before the season started, this was a move made to bolster up the offense. The defense was supposed to be the pieces around. We can't just finger point at Dame when we knew coming into the situation, he was not going to be a boost to the defense. Solely this move was made because we're pairing Dame, an elite offensive player, with another elite player in a Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Dame is not the problem.
He's
one of the problems, though.
Oh,
okay.
Adrian Griffin, I don't think he's a good coach. And I think he did a disservice to himself taking the job that had so many expectations.
Got to take a chance.
Because with it, I know. But listen,
that's
with
more
the Raptors,
so on the FO when you're bringing in a rookie coach into a situation like a Darvin Ham with the LeBron James and AD. Lakers fans are constantly on Darvin, specifically last season. We are constantly on him talking about these lineups. We're questioning his every decision. But again, he was able to figure it out down the stretch. Early in this year, people are still wishy-washy on a Darvin Ham. It's when you are a young coach, even on a Joe Mazzulla, even on an Ime Udoka, even though Ime is a little bit of a different situation. That one, they were a younger team, but again, they have reached the Eastern Conference Finals. There were expectations on the Celtics. They did want him fired quickly, but how quickly were we praising who?
The
people that wanted him fired. I'm not going to disagree with you because Ime has gone to Houston. Now he's doing a good enough job there. But when you're a young guy and there are expectations and you aren't meeting them, people are going to be at your throat. And that's what's happening right now.
The thing about it, Adrian Griffin with the Toronto Raptors, he had a track record of developing players that were not drafted highly. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby was a developmental pick, even though he slid because of a knee injury in college. Adrian Griffin did a good job developing those players. He went into a situation where every player there is already used to doing something their own way. So he wasn't able to come into a team and kind of instill his own identity and how he wants a team to play. Giannis is very into how he plays. Dame is into how he plays. They're all older players, so he's not able to groom a team to his liking.
I'm with you.
With that being said, I think the Bucks made a mistake in not leaning in to what their identity had been for years. Giannis is a fantastic player. He's not one of the top offensive players in the league, and you can phase him out in a playoff series with the right personnel because he doesn't have a consistent jump shot. You can do that.
You like that statement, Rev?
I love it so fucking much.
Put your bias aside.
I've been saying it for so long. I'm just glad
he's numbers. He's going to get his numbers, but his efficiency is going to go down.
When
the 50 in a Game 6 finals, it'll always be on my mind.
When they won a championship, the defense was number one.
People had the Suns winning that championship.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not just people on my panel either.
I mean, listen, it was a toss-up championship. Giannis played well, but a
50 in a closeout?
A 50 ball in a closeout does not make you an offensive engine. It doesn't. I'm sorry.
Okay,
it doesn't.
So we're only saying you're elite if you're an engine?
No,
because he still gives you 30 on the dumbest efficiency that we've seen.
Can Giannis be phased out of a playoff series? Yes or no?
I'm going to say no. Essentially saying you're fringe irrelevant, and that's never been the case.
I don't think that's what he's trying to say. Maybe he's using the wrong word.
Okay.
Maybe he's
are we talking about a scorer or are we talking about an offensive player?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Are we talking about a scorer or are we talking about an offensive player? Because Giannis can pass. Giannis for his size, he can pass, he can play.
I think Joel is using the wrong word because I think a little hyperbole. Because Miami has made him shoot extremely.
If you want to go limit or phase out, because phase out is you're not a part of the offense.
Maybe limited with efficiency against Al Horford and Boston
versus the Heat when they played this past first round. The numbers for Giannis look great, but in every single fourth quarter they played, once they built that wall and stopped Giannis from getting to the paint, he was useless on offense.
Which is why you got Dame.
No, which is why also you have to build the team around the identity of your star player. Giannis is a defensive player. He can score a lot, but there are limitations to his offensive game. Bringing in Dame was bringing him in because we need a player that can close out basketball games in a fourth because Giannis cannot do it.
Mm-hmm.
He is not somebody that we can just give the ball and he can take a shot that we're comfortable with.
I agree.
But the problem with that is Dame is such a defensive liability that their entire identity from their past championship, which was defensive first, has been stripped. This is a team that starts Dame and Malik Beasley in the backcourt. That's not stopping anybody.
Okay.
That point of attack defense, the lack thereof, makes it much tougher for Brook Lopez, who is getting older in age. And when he switched off and has to play higher on screens, you're now susceptible getting beat from cuts from behind. So Brook Lopez is older, and Giannis, he's a great roamer. He's a great weak side defender, but he cannot guard the perimeter consistently. So when you have that defensive identity that's been stripped, now you become a team that is heavily reliant on Giannis and Dame's offense. And I think Dame gives you a better chance at winning basketball games if you're strictly going off of offensive firepower because he can create it in multiple different ways. But defensively, you're so bad that it's not even going to matter. That's why I think with this team, the personnel just isn't there, and there isn't any assets to make any moves for them to get much better. They're going to have to explore the buyout market, and they're going to have to get lucky if any good players are out there. That's why I don't think this team's going to go to the championship.
Joe, two things. I feel like when I'm watching Adrian Griffin, he kind of gives me a specialist vibe. What I mean when I say a specialist vibe, like you guys talked about, him being able to develop players, kind of like what North Turner did when he was coaching football. He was a great offensive coordinator, but as a head coach, not so much. So he kind of gives me that vibe. You would think that Adrian Griffin would segue right into the head coach and be right into the head coach chair and be really good. He's been an assistant coach for, I think, 14 years or something like that. And he's been an assistant coach on championship level teams. But it's a lot different when you X&O and you're managing players from that head coach's position. Now, when you're talking about a guy in Giannis, and you're talking about a guy who's basically responsible for them defensively, basically their signal caller, he shouldn't solely be their signal caller. We do have other guys who also should be involved in that. I should never see Brook Lopez switching 1 to 5 because I'm seeing Brook Lopez switch on to Tyrese Haliburton. And the first thing I'm thinking to myself is Shaq switching on to John Stockton? Is that happening? I'm never going to see that for as long as I'm alive. I'm certain, even as good as Olajuwon is, Olajuwon's not switching on to Kevin Johnson. And he can still handle himself against Kevin Johnson, but that should not be the case. He's going to show and he's going to get whoever, whether it's Kenny Smith or it's Vernon Maxwell, he's going to show enough where he's going to slow Kevin Johnson down, and these guys are going to get back. Well, that only happens if that effort is there, and that effort is not there. And because that effort is not there, these guys are going to pay defensively, and they have.
And effort has been the big word in this whole conversation. And you know, I look back at because I had to go look up some numbers real quick just to.
You've been laughing this whole segment
because I think it's funny that we're all trying to say the same thing just in different ways, and. For me, I got two examples. Y'all remember last year, the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavaliers? You remember how great they were defensively? Who was the Cleveland Cavaliers starting backcourt?
Garland and
Mitchell and Garland. Is Garland a defender? No. Is Mitchell a defender?
Yes, he actually is. He came into the league as a defender.
No, what Garland is effort. What Mitchell is effort. He's a good defender, but effort. Right. Big word here is effort. Chicago. Zach LaVine's not much of a defender. DeMar DeRozan isn't a defender. Vooch isn't really a defender either. They were a top 6 defense. They had Bev, they had Caruso, they had effort from every single guy from top to bottom. Milwaukee has the front court. They have Lopez, they have Giannis. They are missing a wing that can go out there and defend, but they're also missing, like we've all been stating just in different ways, that major effort. And then when you don't get effort from the guy that starts your defense, then it trembles to the other guys. And I really am big on that. If you're one of your stars is not giving effort on that end, then why would the other guys follow suit?
Giannis isn't giving effort.
No, I'm talking about Dame.
Giannis, the guy on defense is Giannis.
No, Dame starts the defense at the top.
Dame, the guards are looking at Dame. The guards are looking at Dame.
Like, that's where it is, Drew. That's why they were looking at last year with Drew Holiday.
Like, if you getting blown by, why should I go to war for you? You know, and Giannis, as great as he is defensively, he still needs guys in the front to give effort. That's why Drew Holiday was so important for this team. That's why even Eric Bledsoe was good for the team because they may not be the best offensively, but defensively, every single play, they're going to give you that effort. So I say that to say this. Adrian Griffin could be a bad coach. You know, like we mentioned, he may not have been the guy for the coach, but 10 times out of 10, you take this opportunity, you ride with it. You got Giannis, you got Damian Lillard as two of the best offensive combinations in the league. You take the offer, whatever. This team is old. We established that in the offseason. This team is old. They didn't do much in the offseason to really bring any pieces in. They didn't have much money. The buyout market is a good thing. We have to see who they get. But it always is going to start with Dame. You have to give effort. Nobody's asking you to turn into an elite defender. You're not going to do that. But you got to show some effort, like OG mentioned. Fight over the screen. Communicate. Get back on defense. Because if you start there, I guarantee you the other players start. And I'm not saying Dame is the main reason for the defensive problems. He's not. They just don't have the personnel. But at the same time, I look at other teams that may not have similar bad personnel, but didn't have the greatest personnel either. And like Billy Donovan isn't this great genius head coach either. But I watched teams turn into great defensive teams because 1 through 5 gave effort. They had continuity. They worked together well, and they just played off each other, and they feed off each other. You got backline defenders like Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. You should be great, bro. Like, you should know if I give even a little bit of effort, I know Giannis got my back. I know Brook Lopez got my back. So at the same time, I think you look at the FO, you make that move 10 times out of 10, but you didn't do nothing after the move to really do much to help this team. And I know you probably was crippled because Dame, $50 million, that's tough. You look at Adrian Griffin, Bobby Portis doing this 20 games into the season, and you're supposed to be a championship team is crazy. I've never that's insane to me. But at the same time, maybe a little bit, but at the same time, maybe it could be a kick in the ass they needed. You can
look at what happened when Ime and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had
sure,
that
but they were losing. They were losing. The Bucks aren't really losing.
But
he was losing, but they're not
was
losing.
also calling out players.
Yeah, like calling out. Ime did it a little different. He was telling niggas like, yo, you bugging. Like he was like, but even then the Bucks are winning games. So it's like he was
killing us. You got to give it better.
Yeah, Ime in there talking about some Jaylen Brown and defending night. That's what it is. Like that's crazy to me. But they took it a different way and they turned this one of the best teams in the league. Now the Bucks have an opportunity to respond. And listen, they have the veterans to do it. This isn't no young ass team. Like this, we look at OKC, they were a top 12 defense last year. I don't think you can name a rim protector on their team. I don't think you can name 3 elite defenders on their team. They had they had Dortch Chamber, and then they had a bunch of good defenders for sure. But they was locked in together. They fought for each other every night, and they were a top 12 defense last year. So, and even the Pels were a good defense last year with Valanciunas back there. So I look at it to say, it starts with effort. Adrian Griffin might not be the guy, but at the same time, you got enough veterans to where this could be a kick in the ass you needed to get back in the swing of things.
I think it's also when things aren't going right that Adrian Griffin has to realize that. OG was talking about how Brook Lopez switching on to Tyrese, but down the stretch you had right before Tyrese hit that big time shot, basically the dagger. Brook Lopez was guarding him at the top of the key.
Nuts.
Tyrese misses the shot, but now Brook's going to rebound. Tyrese leaks back out to the 3-point line. Now Brook's kind of in the middle, nowhere, lost. You get the offensive rebound. Tyrese wide open for 3. Of course, he's going to hit that. But then I think it was just a bad matchup for the Bucks too, because I mean this Pacers team is so fast, and we talk about kind of their lack of youth. This Bucks is sometimes the lack of athleticism there. And you have this Pacers team. There was one time where the Bucks hit a layup or a mid-range shot. They get the ball, inbound it, one pass, they're down the court, and Obi Toppin goes and lays up or dunks it. And you're like, that's all effort. If you're not getting back on defense after you make a basket, how am I expected to trust you and transition defense when you miss a shot? A lot of that is just being able to go and run back down the court. You have Brook Lopez, you have Giannis, you have guys at a minimum who can protect the rim. There should be no circumstance, especially after a made basket, that it takes one pass, the Pacers are able to go down the court. I understand that's their offense, right? They have this 7 seconds or less type of vibe to them. But if you're a championship caliber team, regardless of if it's October, November, or in the playoffs in May, April, and June, you have to be able to show that level of effort, because they obviously have some serious issues in this locker room. I don't think the fact that, like Joel mentioned at the start of his monologue, that this doesn't just get out to get out. Like maybe Chris Haynes, because it was in Vegas, maybe he got some extra locker room access. He was able to overhear it. But chances are this got leaked to him somehow, because they want to know that Adrian Griffin isn't the guy for them, which to me feels crazy. You're 17 games into this. You're still 2nd or 3rd in the Eastern Conference. I know they lost to Boston, but they almost won that game. The personnel might not be there, but if I'm the Bucks, Adrian Griffin's going to be your guy, right? Maybe there's no way he's getting fired mid-season. If you're 2nd in the East, that seems like a long shot. So I'll be trying to rally around this coach and at least, tell him that this is what we need you to do. Because in the report, Bobby Portis specifically was saying that down the stretch of the games, they need to be more organized. In the clutch of the season, they do have the 1st or 2nd most wins. I think they're like 9-4 or something like that. So in those clutch situations, they're able to win. But we know that star players a lot of the times in the clutch are able to take over. And when you have Dame, who's, amongst the league leaders in points in the 4th quarter, and Giannis, sometimes stars can take over. But when you have this matchup against the Pacers, who are probably the hottest team in the NBA right now, when you're not able to, that's when you need the coach to be able to step in, draw up plays, ATOs, and really be able to, find a bucket down the stretch. They weren't able to do that last night.
Well, 2 things that I want to ask. It's ironic that you mentioned the defense when the Bucks actually got back in the game when they went to zone defense. Meanwhile, I'm watching Tyrese Haliburton walk to the free throw line in the zone to get jump shots. Just walk right up to the free throw line to get jump shots. That's number 1. Number 2, Dell, I want to put my GM hat on, and I am the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks, and I am calling you up, and I'm saying you are the GM of the Chicago Bulls. I'm saying to you, I got Moshan Beauchamp, and I got Andre Jackson. How about you hand over Caruso?
Oh, you like that?
You need to send 3 first-round picks.
They don't have picks. That's their issue. They don't have any seconds.
We don't have. I think we got 2. I think the Milwaukee Bucks have 2 twos. Yeah, 2 twos. So what's it going to take for you to hand over Alex Caruso?
More than 2 twos.
You get 2 1s, you're good.
Yeah,
you run with it. 2-1s, you run with
Because
it.
I think
Even a 1 and
value.
1 and 2 twos, you run with it.
There's going to be, I think, a mini bidding war for Caruso. Like, there's going to be a ton of teams around the league that's going to need that perimeter defense that I don't think the Bucks are going to be able to beat, those type of packages that are going to be out
He
there.
locked up
It's
KD.
ugly.
Never forget.
It is ugly.
Their picks?
They
don't have anything.
They have a second in 24 from Portland. They have a second in 27 that's theirs. That's it.
Yeah, they have 2 tradable picks. That's it.
Well,
That's it.
you better hope.
I mean, that's what you trade Dame for.
Hey,
Traded
traded
5 seconds
five
for
away
Jay
for
Crowder
Jay
was an
Crowder.
L. It was probably an L.
5 seconds.
4
right?
twos. They gave 4. I think it was 4 or 5 twos for Jay Crowder.
I ain't gonna lie, that was nuts. He's ass.
Terrible.
Listen, Jake Crowder, shout out to you. You ass. Like, he ain't good. That was a bad trade.
Don't do that, Sam.
No,
Who's
he's-
Grayson Allen?
We have a super chat here. It's football. CF Candy needs to do a PSA real quick because the Bulls refuse to rebuild, plus don't want to trade Caruso to sell tickets. I'm sick and tired. Get this front office out. Fire AK.
It's happening.
They're on
now.
a 3-game win streak.
Do you
What's
know?
happening?
Do you know that?
No, they're not on a 3-game win streak. They're on a 3-game home win streak. Let's make sure we're
Listen,
clear on
It's too many wins. I needed all L's. I am
Okay.
mad as fuck we won.
Do you know the
There's three
pain
games.
in my heart reading?
And Zach's not playing.
Yeah,
He's out
And
3 to 4 weeks.
we look so much better.
Do you know the pain in my heart reading that the Bulls feel as if Caruso
Yeah,
is
that's
one
an
of their
insane
greater
report.
success
It's an
stories?
insane report.
I ignored it because I was crazy. I'll be honest.
Do you know the pain in
That
my
was fake.
heart when I
'Cause I
read
used to
that?
watch
I'm
Caruso in
not gonna lie,
college.
bro. Is Levine?
And why were you surprised when Caruso was like that in LA?
How close?
His offensive game was mid.
How close is Levine for being
3-and-D.
untradeable?
Yeah. Huh?
How close is Levine for being untradeable?
I think because of his
Ooh.
contract and his injury history, it makes him hard to trade.
Because
Shame
at
we're
the
talking
start
about
of the
this 'cause
season,
this is my This Week in the NBA. But
sorry, at the start of the season, we had like trade machines for Zach Levine.
He's also
We had,
not
like
helping.
6,
He's
7
not
teams.
helping himself by playing bad.
And also
he's not. He's also not. He's not playing team ball. He's not being a team player. He shows no leadership. He has an insane contract, and he's been up and down this season. There you go. That's a recipe to be fringe
I don't
untradeable.
know about up and down, mainly down, but yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, but he had a game this year where he what?
It's been 20 games.
because every report comes out saying Team X
He
isn't.
maybe has 3 games under his belt.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't
One
know.
of them was a bug out. Didn't he have
Yeah,
50? Was it or 40 something like that?
Yeah, it was 40 for sure.
The
I
next
think
one
that was
was
against the Pistons.
What was the report you said? You was about to say something?
Yeah,
That-
50, 51. Yeah, 51.
Yeah, it was
against
against the fucking.
Oh,
I think he
51.
lost.
51's
yeah,
crazy.
And I think they lost that
That's
They
game.
a
did
Bulls
lose.
problem.
Yeah, they did lose that game. They did.
Is that on
yeah,
him? He get 51 and lost.
Listen,
Yeah.
you got 50 and you
Hey,
lost. I don't
Levine,
know.
do better.
Listen, man, I don't know what happened. I don't remember the game. It might have been early. It might have been when the Pistons were
I'm about to
celebrating
look
on
it up
2-1.
real quick. I'm
I,
pulling it
think-
up.
I, I think I think he had I think he was tied with Jordan where he had 51 and I don't think he had any assists in that game.
Yeah, that's a his problem, bro. He didn't pass it one time.
I'm looking.
But the report I was talking about was.
I'm not saying that he did. Don't quote me on that. I'm not. I know for a fact he had 51 in that game.
He had 51.
Yep.
He shot 57% from the field. He had 0 assists.
Did he have a
He did.
rebound?
He had 5 rebounds. He had a steal also.
Oh, that means he played defense.
Hey, I'm just saying.
That could have been Asar dribbling off
Oh
his
my
foot.
god, you guys low-key got cooked 118 to 102.
Then that 50 was mid.
This is October.
That's was the first week of the year.
OG, I got a question.
First week of the season, I believe.
Given who they are players right now and the contract, would you rather Zach LaVine or Tyler Hero?
I like how you added the contracts because it helps your case.
It does. It's the only thing that helps you.
Who would I rather, Zach LaVine or Tyler Hero right now? Tyler Hero's been he's been in and out of the lineup. And
Might get
we
the
can't-
answer you want.
we can't really depend on him like we need to because when he's in the lineup, they're really good. And he's really good.
Don't think too hard about this one.
He didn't ask the question like, in a vacuum, who are you taking? Who's the better player?
Zach LaVine's the better player.
Yeah,
He tried to add all that shit.
I never
to
said
this.
Tyler Hero's a better player. I said it's close. It's
So
not a
why'd you
gap
try to add the contracts and stuff?
because that's how it operates.
It
is not?
matters.
Yeah, the money
It
matters.
matters.
Yes, it does. The money does matter. Yes, it does.
Definitely does. And undoubtedly.
I don't think it
does
mattered
matter.
when we were talking about it, but
Joe, I'm sorry. No, it matters. I agree.
It matters
matters.
100%.
It matters.
it matters.
But do the Miami Heat want to give Tyler Hero $25 million a year? Zach 50.
I think they wanted Zach
No,
at one
Is
point.
Zach
You remember
two-
when he just went on a championship run?
They were trying to trade
without
Tyler
him?
Hero for Malcolm Brogdon.
Is Zach
my
2
God.
times the player that
my God.
that Tyler Hero is? No.
Oh my God.
They were trying to
No.
trade Tyler Hero for Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon's a good player though.
But like, come on,
But
bro.
to give up Tyler Hero for him is kind of crazy.
But Malcolm Brogdon is
If he's quote
he just won
unquote
6
this
man of the
guy,
year.
you think what?
He just won 6 man of the year.
Okay.
And he's on an expiring this year.
Which, by the way, Joe, I think that's his
20%.
best role, to be honest with you, Joe. I think Tyler Hero is better as a rotation player than he is as a starter.
He's been great as a starter this year. But yeah, like Zach LaVine's not 2 times the player of Tyler Hero.
I think 2 times is strong. Maybe one time.
Maybe
0.5.
Like 0.5.
One
0.5 I'll give you. 0.5 I'll give you.
Huh?
1 time's the same.
Oh, well, you know, however we're trying to do this shit. I don't know.
Like 0.5 means that Tyler Hero's better than Levine.
Yeah, whatever.
So 1.5.
However we're trying to do this, yeah, like 1.5.
He's not 2 times. He's 1.5 times better.
Like if what is Zach, like a top 50 player?
Where did that Brogdon for Hero come from?
I don't know. I probably saw it in the summer somewhere.
So it's not even verified.
It probably is. About look it up.
Probably fake.
It could be fake.
It was a lot of Miami. Listen,
And Tyler Hero played 8 games this season.
I'll be honest. A lot of Miami Heat rumors are probably fake.
They are.
They wouldn't hand Hero over. That's why Dame isn't in Miami. They wouldn't hand him over for Dame.
Yeah, it's a fact.
It was a part of the 3-teamer. They were trying to send Hero to San Antonio.
The
not,
Blazers didn't want Hero.
Yes, it was. The Blazers didn't want Hero.
The Blazers did not
want
Hero.
So Miami was interested in handing him over. The Blazers was like,
they
no.
were
Yeah, the
ready to
Blazers
go
said no, so they tried to call San Antonio to get him involved in the 3-teamer.
Yep.
And the San Antonio was like, we already got these dudes. Like, yeah,
Who's better, Devin Vassell or Tyler Hero?
It's Devin Vassell.
Tyler Hero's better than Devin Vassell.
Devin Vassell's he's been hooping this season.
He's up the bench right now.
50-41 off the bench. That's OD.
He's not better than Tyler Hero.
It's close.
What makes you say that?
Hey, if it's close between
is that the 0.5? Is that the 1 point? Is that the one?
Devin Vassell does one thing.
What does Tyler Hero do?
What does Tyler Hero do?
He can score and play make.
Barely.
It's not barely. Vassell averages like 1 assist per game, bro. He does not.
Okay.
No. Devin Vassell does not pass at all.
That's a fair point. I have seen him do some ridiculous shit.
So that's the one thing.
Does it make you feel better if I told you he averages 3 assists?
How many does that Hero average? 4?
What's Hero average?
If Hero isn't at 6, this argument is cooked.
There's no way.
He's at 4.6.
Yep, this
is 5. It's 5.
5 to 3 is valid.
5 to 3 is valid.
For dude that don't pass the ball. No, we're
not
not jacking that. No.
And just so you know, I rounded up for both. It's 2.7 and 4.6.
What did Vassell average the year before that?
I'm
probably all right. Probably 1.
He averaged more. He averaged 4.
He's fucked.
No.
When I watch him play, he does not pass.
I agree with you.
He one time you on that Spurs.
I watched him. He took a jumper on 2 people fade away. It was crazy. It was like 18 seconds.
Yeah, he doesn't pass the ball. And I think Tyler Hero's he's better than him.
It's close.
That's the same way that it's close between Levine and Tyler. We could say
I'm not saying it's not close. I'm saying it's not close.
That's what hurts me.
I was gonna say you're the biggest Levine guy.
Pray for you, Levine. Get healthy.
He's the only Levine guy.
You fell off, man. Pick a side.
A couple years ago.
When he was doing good.
Not when he was
when you were
28,
so you could be the Bucks,
50, 40, 85.
That was when he was on a heater. He fell the fuck off.
50, 40, 85.
Never see that again.
What a movie.
You were calling him White MJ.
I was doing that.
I remember.
Yeah, did I actually?
White MJ is hilarious.
That's not the shit I would say.
Athleticism.
He was crazy though. I always love Levine. Levine definitely is one of those guys that I like a lot. But hey, he's not been helping his case right now.
I'm looking at these comments right now. Somebody said that I'm trying to see. Did the comment get deleted or no? Oh no, it's from Nick Perez. He said Tyler is closer to Zach than Vassell.
He's a Heat fan.
And then Bash Barty goes, Hero 22-5-5 on a winning team, shooting 44, 41, 88. That's had multiple great moments in big playoff series. Respect him. Cook Marcus Smart as a
He also has played 8 games.
If Bash Barty was here, I would have been like, name the moments.
He has 8 games.
Matter of fact, Bash Barty in the comments, name the moments.
Are they all in that same series versus the Celtics?
It might be in the bubble. They might all be in the same year. He might not be able to name a single moment after that.
He also had a moment, I think it was game 1 in the NBA Finals where he was doing that mean mug stupid shit on
the bubble.
Yeah. Against
the league. The moments might be from that all year.
Jim O'Brien sent a super chat. Hero in the first for Levine and bring him to Miami. And Levine becomes an all-star or all-NBA, and Hero becomes Jordan Poole. Give Levine a better organization and see what happens when he leaves that bad Chicago team.
I started laughing at all-NBA.
Oh my god,
all-NBA is crazy. Jordan Poole is also crazy.
I think he was a victim. I think Zach LaVine was a victim of circumstance because as bad as that Chicago team is, all of that was predicated on Lonzo Ball being healthy. That's who they built that unit around. So if Lonzo Ball stays healthy, I think we're talking about a completely different Chicago Bulls team because now you got a primary ball handler and a distributor. You got a defender. That means that Zach and DeMar DeRozan don't have to be primary ball handlers and playmakers. You actually have somebody for that. Vooch is actually a lot better defensively as a team defender, than you give him credit for. He's a lot better than that.
Called your ass up.
he's a lot better than that. Andre Drummond is serviceable. Can't make free throws, but he's at least
get him to the Lakers. Get him to the Lakers. We need a backup.
He's at least serviceable. He's not. What I don't do is I don't really stick that much on one side of the basketball. I like to see what guys bring to the table. And Andre Drummond is one of the better rebounders in the game. He is one of the better rebounders in the game. He doesn't defend very well, but to your point, Rib, he does give effort. So if Lonzo Ball stays healthy, I think we're talking about a completely different Chicago Bulls team. And this unit was built in the short term. This wasn't like this was a unit built to win in 3, 4, 5 years. No, this team was built to win right now. And the fact that Lonzo Ball got hurt really screwed them up.
How long ago did I tell you that?
I think that speaks on the front office that they just continue to wait and wait and not do nothing.
He's still young.
Brother, man, he hasn't played basketball in 2 years.
First off, prayers to Lonzo.
For sure. But like, you can't just sit there and wait for a point guard,
disagree.
A utility player to come back and this.
That's why they got Javon.
Utility's insane.
He's more than utility player.
What's funny is that is why they got Javon.
What's the definition of utility player?
Lonzo's more than a utility player. That sounds replaceable to me.
Oh, it didn't to me. It just sounded like he can do
multiple things.
Yeah,
versatile. I understand.
That's really all it to me.
Versatile players. Utility. I'm thinking like
my fault. That's not how I meant it. He's just very
not a role player. Oh, he kind of
is. He's a high level
role players.
All right, that was better. We needed the medium.
But it's so true. I mean, think about how long ago.
In 2 years.
Everything that he just said. I told you guys this months ago. With the truth of when Lonzo went down, that was your defensive identity.
What are you going to sit there and just pray on the fact that he's going to get healthy?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you were expecting him to be out for
2 years.
They knew that last year.
You were anticipating 2 years.
Hurt,
you know what I'm saying? But they knew he fucked up. He got hurt. Then they fucked up the surgery. Then they found out again he's going to be out for another year.
They knew.
And they knew.
Would you rather them double down and make a move though?
And then after they knew he was going to get hurt, they signed Zach LaVine. So they knew, then signed Zach. And then they re-signed Vooch. So they knew all this. And they was like, fuck it.
Reference page.
Listen, your front office has made some mistakes. We know
for sure. They're new. Hate that for them.
Off to a great start. They were off to a great start.
They were definitely cooking.
They were at
Cook
first.
guy.
My God. 52 games, 47, 63, 55, 35, nothing.
God bless him.
It hurts.
Hopefully he comes back better than ever.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday that what Tyrese Haliburton is doing right now is what Lonzo Ball was projected to do.
You bring this up on the show
once he got to the league, and I thought it was a fair
he
comparison.
Tweeted it out. So
because Tyrese Haliburton, he's the ultimate playmaker. He is a 40% shooter. Lonzo in college was supposed to be the floor general, 40% shooter.
Definitely.
But once he got to the league, the jump shot didn't translate. Tyrese's did. We know Lonzo's a better defender, of course, but I thought that comparison was a great comparison because what Tyrese is doing right now, how he's taking the league by storm, many expected Lonzo to be doing the same thing. We talked about the in-season tournament earlier and how it can bring more light on rising young stars. Tyrese this year had his third career game of 25 plus points, 15 plus assists, 0 turnovers.
MVP stat?
No one else in NBA history has won such game where they have 25 plus, 15 plus assists. And in the in-season tournament, I mean, you look at him knocking off the Celtics, knocking off the Bucks, and each of those games having 15 plus assists and 0 turnovers, doing it on his efficiency. How many guards are you taking over Tyrese Haliburton right now? OG, I want to get your answer on this because I'm interested to see what you have to say.
OG, before you start, remember we were having a conversation about Hallie is the second best shooter. Would you take KD over? I found out yesterday he was shooting 50%.
From 3?
Yes, bro.
Tyrese Haliburton takes like 8 threes a game, though.
I mean, his KD take 5.
He might take like 2.
Really? Also, is Jalen Brunson not in that conversation too?
He went 0 for 6. I don't care about him.
You can't have a bad game.
I'm sorry. 0 for 6 is just inexcusable.
Wait, Jalen Brunson's in the conversation of best shooters in the world?
Desmond Bane's a better shooter than him.
Jalen Brunson was shooting like 47% before that.
Desmond Bane's a better shooter.
Desmond Bane's a really good shooter, but Jalen Brunson has been insane.
If he's at 5, I feel like
4.6. My bad.
So that's 50% is fake, sneaky.
My bad. I meant to say 2 threes made per game. That's what he has.
50%. That was crazy.
What do you got to say, OG?
Jalen Brunson's still shooting 46%.
So to answer your question, how do I feel about Tyrese Haliburton? This is the same Tyrese Haliburton that this time last year. So this time last year, the same amount of games, he was 19 and 11, and we weren't really paying that much attention to him. So now we go from a guy who was 19-11 on a team that didn't make the playoffs to now he's a top 3 point guard in the league. No, we're not doing it. Absolutely not. And the reason why we're not doing that is because because again, it's what I told you dudes earlier, right? I'm not marrying her, but I am introducing her to the fellas. Yo, this is my girl right here. Absolutely. I am. I'm introducing her to the fellas, and I want y'all to know that, yo, we building something here. Am I marrying her? Not yet. Let's chill out. I'm not saying that, but she is what's up. 100% she is. I'm watching the guy in Tyrese Haliburton, how he takes care of the basketball, how nobody really speeds him up. I dig that about his game the most. He plays within himself. He doesn't do a lot of things that he doesn't know how to do, but what he does do, getting downhill, getting himself open, getting guys wide open looks. He does that. He does that with the best of them. But in terms of this being consistent and for a long time, I'd like to see this a little bit more, because the guys that I'm thinking about, when I'm thinking about Steph Curry, when I'm thinking about Luka, when I'm thinking about Trae Young, when I'm thinking about De'Aaron Fox being an All-NBA performer, when I'm thinking about De'Aaron Fox being an All-NBA performer, when I'm thinking about guys like that, right? I'm thinking about guys like that. These guys have been doing this for a lot longer, and that matters. I care about what you did, when you did it, who you did it against, and how you did it. I care about those 4 things. And I have yet to see Tyrese Haliburton over an extended period of time. And I don't mean over the course of 3 or 4 weeks, over the course of a month or 2 months. No, I'm not saying that. I haven't seen that enough for him. Would it blow you guys' mind if I told you that John Stockton in the 89-90 season, Stock had a 5-game stretch? Because this is the narrative that we have in today's game, where we have 5-game stretches. John Stockton had a 5-game stretch in the 89-90 season where he went 21-19, 2 turnovers.
Goodness.
What?
Okay. Yes, he did. I just want to. And just so we clear, Riv, this was during a stretch where this was his peak, where he had a 3-year stretch where he went 17-14. On a 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, where he did that for 3 years. And I want you to put this on your mind too, Riv, because how we talking about Tyrese Haliburton right now, just so you know, John Stockton didn't sniff the league MVP any of those years. He didn't sniff it, right? So we got a guy in Tyrese Haliburton who looks fantastic right now. There's a reason why the Indiana Pacers signed him to a supermax, because we clearly have our lead guard for the future, 100%. But what I need to see is I just need to see it more over the course of time, and I also need to see it in the postseason. He's actually made a guy like Obi Toppin, who I thought was basically Kenny Skywalker 2.0. I thought that's who he was. He's making him look like a viable NBA player, and he's making this team look like a really good team. I just need to see it more before I start talking about him like I talk about Luka Doncic, who destroyed the Los Angeles Clippers in the playoffs, who took that Dallas Mavericks team to the Western Conference Championship, who Steph Curry took his team to the NBA championship, or De'Aaron Fox, who took his team to the playoffs and were in a dogfight with the defending NBA champions, and he actually won Clutch Player of the Year, or Trae Young, who actually won a playoff series and took his team deep into the playoffs. All I'm asking for is some consistency. I'm not saying that you're not awesome, because I think this guy is fantastic. I just need to see a little bit more of it.
OG, so question, you think that Luka dominated the Clippers?
I do, yes.
Okay.
Does anybody disagree with you?
Oh, no, you disagreed with me a couple weeks ago when I said it. You absolutely did.
We talked about that a couple weeks ago?
Yes, in the offseason when we was talking about the Mavericks.
A couple weeks ago.
You said that he didn't dominate them because they lost in the first round twice.
He destroyed them.
He did. He just fell off in the fourth quarter.
I guess maybe we were doing a team versus team thing. I don't remember.
OG, let me ask you a question, because you mentioned 4 guys in particular. You left out one.
Drew, is he being hard-headed too or no?
Is he being hard-headed? It'll depend on his answer to this question. Now, OG,
2 different questions.
Last year, when we had our conversation about a similar position and a different player, of course, SGA was the breakout point guard of last year.
Yes,
we had multiple conversations about SGA, and you told me on multiple occasions it killed Doc Rivers to give that kid up because he knew what SGA was going to be. Yes. Now, you didn't mention SGA at all there, and I have a feeling it's because he hadn't made it to the playoffs, but he was an All-NBA player.
The postseason does matter, yes. And I still have a problem with the fact that SGA was first-team All-NBA and his team didn't make the playoffs. However, him being a lead guard, I would put him in front of Tyrese Haliburton. Yes, I would.
So I only say that with the idea that
you don't put him over Trae Young.
Do I put
SGA over Trae Young?
I need.
You have Trae Young pretty high.
I'm fine with that because Trae Young's still playing very well.
He's playing great.
And
the reason why, Joe, is again, I'm not a fan of being better at basketball. And the reason why I'm not a fan of being better at basketball, because I've seen better basketball players get outplayed. I'm sure you guys have heard this from me. And the logic that, this guy is better at basketball and he gets outplayed. Well, he's still better, but it's not undisputed. There's a conversation now because he's actually gotten outplayed. So as opposed to a guy who isn't better, where you see a whole lot of different things from these people. So a guy like Trae Young, who's taking his team, don't get me wrong, Trae Young puts his teams in really precarious situations where he takes a lot of bad shots. But him being the man and him taking his team to the playoffs multiple years and taking his team deep into the playoffs, that matters to me. I do care about that. And when I see a guy do that multiple times, as opposed to a dude who just showed up and is getting to that level, I can't just 86 this dude because he's playing great right now. I can't do that, considering this other guy is still playing that.
Did you believe in SGA to do it all last season?
I didn't believe in him to do it like he did it last season. I didn't think he'd be that good. No, I didn't.
No, I'm going to say no, he's not being hard-headed. Because when you saw SGA come out the gates and he was on fire, you felt, hey, it's time that he finally ascended. He's finally showing what everyone believed that SGA could be. Now, similarly with Tyrese, there was the people that were definitely in his boat more than others. Of course, Joel, when you talk, you're going to talk very highly of of Tyrese Haliburton. But we had expectations on the Pacers. We felt, hey, this team would be a playoff team. They could be a high-level play-in team. They're playing very well. Number one offensive rating in the NBA. Defense definitely lagging behind, but we're talking about them being in the finals of the end-season tournament. Tyrese Haliburton's playing at an insane level. So, no, Riv, to answer, no, he's not being hard-headed. He's being consistent. But I also feel that in a similar light with him, where Tyrese definitely has become one of the better point guards in the game, is arguably playing at a top 3 level at the point guard position at this current moment in time. But when it comes to guards that would take over him, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, I still have to respect SGA and Trae Young. But other than that, you can slide Tyrese Haliburton right in there. He's played that great. Damian Lillard's definitely fringe, but at this point in time, we're definitely... I'd say fringe as in you have to respect Damian, what he's done for his career. But Tyrese Haliburton, when it comes to point guard responsibilities, I think you actually tweeted this out, or maybe we had conversations about it. He is one of the better passers in the game. He's one of the better playmakers.
Pure point guard.
Exactly. Pure point guard. That he is the definition of that. Buckets. So to me, I still have to respect Trae Young for like all the reasons OG mentioned. He has made it to the playoffs, where SGA didn't make it to the playoffs, but it still was first team All-NBA. We know what Luka Doncic is. We know what a Steph Curry is. Similar reason, De'Aaron Fox also could be in this conversation. It's just the idea that we're looking at Tyrese Haliburton be on top of one of the best passers, one of the most efficient scorers on top of it too.
I understand how you're going by your list, OG. You are valuing regular season production and then playoff production. Tyrese hasn't been to the playoffs as who he is right now, and SGA hasn't been there as a superstar yet. He'll probably be there this year. He will be there this year, and we'll see how he plays. So I can respect that. For me, how I do things, I'm looking at what's happening right now, what's happened last year, and then I'm projecting a little bit because it's mostly off of how I feel. Who do I want to run my team going forward? When I look at point guards, I'll just stick with point guards. I won't stick with guards. I'm not going to bring in no 2 guards into this. When I look at point guards that are better than Tyrese, that I would take over Tyrese right now, it's Luka, it's SGA, it's Steph Curry. Outside of that, I think I'm comfortable taking Tyrese over anybody else in the NBA.
Respect Trae. Come on.
I mean, Trae Young, the efficiency, the inconsistency.
The efficiency is still good. The efficiency is still good.
Here we go. It's about to get spicy.
That is what deters me from Trae Young. You want to know why? I seen him go into a playoff series where he averaged 15 points, shot 33% from the field, and 19% from three.
And had a game-winning shot in that series as well.
And
but
he
still
shot 33%.
Miami could lock up almost anybody in the league.
But talk about what he did against the Celtics. Talk about his entire run where he made it to the ECF.
He played well. The ECF run was great.
Against the Cavaliers in the play-in game as well.
The ECF run,
for him to say fluke.
It was great. Y'all know how I feel about that. Y'all really know how I feel about that run. When it comes to Trae Young, that is what I don't like, the inefficiency. What I know he's capable of, the floor, which is if he's off, I'm getting below 40% from the field. I might not get above 30% from the three.
But that's like
and then we talk about usage percentage with Trae Young.
It's not even. I'm not. Am I being rude? No.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just funny.
sometimes when you're off, you're really off. Tatum gets
It
really
happens.
Tatum has never had a series where he's averaged 15 and shot 33% from the field.
Okay.
He's never had that.
Beat him at 22 years old.
Trae Young, and then he dominates the ball.
I don't know if that's true. Actually, it's the second year versus the Bucks. What did
didn't
do?
he shoot under 40 against the Warriors?
The Warriors is probably ugly. Yeah.
33% from the field and 19% from three.
I don't know.
Oh,
know if
okay. So he did. He has had a series.
Okay,
like that.
Trae Young. No, I'm talking about Trae
Trae
Young.
Young.
That was
Yeah,
Trae
no,
Young.
he's talking about Trae Young.
I don't know if Tatum was that bad.
That hurt.
I don't know if Tatum was that bad.
Trae Young needs to dominate the ball.
I hope he wasn't.
And I don't think
Do you want me to do this?
and I don't think it's easy to play with Trae Young. When I look at Tyrese this season, yeah, it's a bit projecting, but I projected him to be a breakout player this year. He's averaging 27 a game, 4 rebounds per game, 12 assists per game on 52, 44, 88 splits. And the efficiency is not something that's just been happening this year. He's been efficient since day one, since he got to the NBA. And I'd argue, had he got his opportunity to run his own team on day one, he'd be a 20-10 guy since his rookie year. If you look at the stats that Tyrese had in his rookie season when he didn't play with De'Aaron Fox and he got to be the lead guy, that's exactly what his numbers were. We're talking about a player who was second in PER, first in true shooting percentage amongst point guards, over someone like Steph, who is the most efficient player on the planet. Right now, Tyrese has him beat at 67%, and he's 43rd in usage percentage with a 5.4 assist to turnover ratio. So we're talking about somebody that doesn't have to dominate the ball, yet can put up these impactful numbers. First in offensive rating, first in offensive box plus minus, third in half-court drives in a percentage where he makes those drives. And when you compare Tyrese to the other guards in terms of areas of the court, restricted area in the paint, mid-range, above the break threes, on floaters, you make the direct comparison to Trae Young. Tyrese shoots 63% in the restricted area. Trae's at 55%. Tyrese shoots 71.7% in the paint. Trae is 42%. Tyrese shoots 42.5% from mid-range. Trae is at 41%. Tyrese shoots 44% above the break on threes. Trae is 35.6%. Tyrese shoots 64.3% on floaters. Trae is at 49.3%. We're talking about a guy who's efficient at every single level at scoring the basketball, and he's a much more efficient passer. So when I look at Tyrese right now this season, it's a debate that he's playing the best of any point guard in the NBA.
Outside of Luka.
I think this year he's been the best pure point guard, and I think for years to come, he is going to be the best pure point guard in the NBA when you take everything into account, and he doesn't provide the same type of volatility that other guys that have been high usage in the past provided, where they're going to give you high assist numbers, but the turnovers are going to be 4. They're going to be 5. Tyrese can protect the ball better than anybody I've seen, and the offensive system does protect them a bit in that, because they don't, he's not running into a ton of guys, and they do run great sets. But Rick Carlisle came out and said it. We're not running that often.
That's my
oftentimes we're not running sets for Tyrese. We're just letting him go out there and play and run the show to how he sees fit. But what he's doing, if he keeps this up and maintains it, can be one of the greatest point guard seasons ever.
So you're saying he's a modern day Magic Johnson?
He's a modern day Steve Nash. I think he's Steve Nash if Steve Nash took more shots. I think if Steve Nash,
I
want to see how far we could go.
Oh yeah,
that's why I went.
I was surprised. I was surprised that you ribbed, because I was like, don't get sucked into that.
I might take Tyrese.
He called me on guard like that far. I'm like,
no, don't get sucked into that.
You said the best point guard in the league in a couple years. That means over Luka.
No, I think that's pure point guard in the league.
That's pure point.
No,
okay, so we're getting very specific.
That's why I went to Magic.
Joe, don't back off that, Joe. In the next 2 years, we're gonna have a serious conversation that he's the best league guard in the game. There are
players right now that play the point guard position, like Luka, like SGA. Luka's a bit of an anomaly because he makes at a high level, but there are also times where he's not always looking to be a playmaker. SGA is
arguably the most complete point guard in the league.
SGA is a tweener. He's a point guard, but he's also a shooting guard. He's a tweener.
Do everything.
De'Aaron Fox.
He's a great player.
De'Aaron Fox too.
De'Aaron Fox is a combo.
Oh, yeah.
So when we're talking about just pure point guard, I think Tyrese, he can be the best pure point guard.
We ain't doing that shit. We ain't just putting them in a point guard. We talking about all the point guards. If you a tweener, you could jump.
Didn't even mention Ja Moran either.
No, then this you should have not said a fucking word really because I let OG do it. Yep. He didn't say nothing.
I did.
I let Joel.
I did not. I did not forget about Ja. No, I'm not forget about Ja.
And I've been letting Twitter off the hook too because they ain't been saying nothing.
I did not.
We're gonna stop forgetting about Ja Moran. Then we're gonna stop doing that. This is a man with probably the worst spacing out of all these guards we talking about.
By far.
Average 26 and 7?
Stupid.
27 and 8 is
even Adams on the court. Yep. Dylan Brooks, who at the time wasn't a crazy 3-point shooter. Nope. Jeremy Jackson, who's streaky. Desmond Bane being his only shooter. And then the dudes coming in ain't shooters either. Like, we have to forget Ja Moran. And I'm not getting into a who's better who. I just want to throw some light on it. He's still one of the best point guards in the league. He's still a guy that when he comes back, if he gets the right players around him, he can also shake up. He still has room to improve as a scorer, as an isolation scorer in the half court set. So if he's another guy that can get motion in his track, and I know y'all seen the Instagram, he got a little bigger. So this is another dude that's been in the gym, locked in 188 now. Strong man, grown man shit.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
188.
188.8. Okay. So he gonna get the 190.
190 soon.
So shout out to my boy Ja Morant because he's definitely one of them guys. But y'all mentioned a lot of good names, and I think there's a healthy medium between Joel and OG. I think there can be a healthy medium. I think people do go a little bit overboard with throwing tags and giving names. I think what Joel is saying is fair. He can say, I think this guy can be the best league guard in 2 years or so and projecting. And I think it's fair what OG is saying. Like, I want to see a little bit more extended play, maybe towards the end of the season or when the playoffs is over. Because you're right. You have to go in. Regular season matters, but you have to either replicate what you do in the playoffs or do it at a higher rate to be considered top of the top. So I think there's a healthy medium. I do think we, like all of us included, like I know me with my fandoms, Drew with his fandoms, Joel sometimes with his fandom, Dehls with his stupid Tatum fandoms. I know sometimes we get mixed up in we like to overextend and over-exaggerate, put a tag too quickly, but Tyrese Haliburton is playing amazing. We can give him that credit. He's playing like one of the best point guards in the league. He has his team fighting for a playoff spot. He's shooting at an absurd rate. Yeah, for sure. At the time, that wasn't a bad take, though, so I don't care. But he's shooting at an absurd rate right now, and he's been killing. So you have to give him that credit. You have to give him that due justice. The point guards I would take over him, I think Steph and Luka are in a class of their own. I think no matter what you do at this point, Steph and Luka at the point guard position are in a class of they're just a tier one. In order for you to get
Rev, how long does Curry play at this level? He's 35. He'll be 36 in March. How long does he play at this level?
Steph got about 2-3. I think you give him about 2-3.
Why put a cap on it?
Yeah, I like honestly, Steph is at a position where he can even play slightly worse than what he plays, and we'll still probably put him in that tier.
We never expected LeBron to still play like this.
But that's the difference, though, Drew. Like guys like James are an anomaly. That's not every day, right? Guys like James,
Kevin Durant and Steph about to be 35, 36 years old. They're probably the next up anomalies in the sense of they're playing at. Like Steph's gonna be 36 in March. Like I don't see him slowing down.
If we give credit to the way that we give to LeBron, we got to hold that same energy for Steph and KD, which I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and the way Steph's game is, he doesn't need athleticism too much. He always gonna have that jumper. Like that's never gonna fall off a cliff.
But no, athleticism to just do this nonstop.
Yeah, that's more
cardio.
Yeah, that's cardio. His cardio is
hand in hand with athleticism.
His cardio is one-on-one. But I think Steph and Luka are in a tier of their own. At this point, everybody's just trying to catch that tier. I think SGA.
Yep.
You could put Hallie in there if you want to. Fox, Trae Young, Ja. I think that's the next tier up.
Fuck Jalen Brunson, man. What happened?
I think Jalen's weird because I think Jalen, in terms of the playoffs, you can put him up there, but I don't think he has the regular season as those other guys.
He's 25.
Yeah, I think this year, but I think
efficiency.
I think SGA back-to-back 30-point per game years.
SGA, I'm cool.
Fox, he's back up there 30 points.
What about his
like 28.
Say it again, OG? What about Jalen's passing though? Like the guy does not pass enough for me.
He's not a guard passer. But
I got a problem with that. I have a huge problem with that. When I'm looking at guys like Tyrese Haliburton, Trae Young, Luka Doncic, when I'm looking at guys like that, and then I see a guy in Jalen Brunson who doesn't pass, and I've seen scoring guards in the past like Damian Lillard go 30 and 8. Right, I've seen guys like
Dame also in there too. I forgot.
I've seen Dame go 30 and 8. I've seen guys like that. Russell Westbrook 32 and 10. I've seen guys who are scoring guards pass the basketball. And the fact that this guy doesn't pass enough, this guy doesn't pass, I got a problem with that. I do.
OG, but do you got, I mean, De'Aaron Fox is, let me not say at the same where he's not as, I think you probably would lean him as a passer.
Score first, 100%.
He's a score first guard.
Yeah.
Same way with Jalen Brunson. If you don't have a problem with De'Aaron Fox, in my opinion, we shouldn't have a problem with Jalen Brunson feeling the same way, especially when you look at the supporting cast of the Sacramento Kings.
Right.
I'm not going to shit on the Knicks role players, but right now we're not watching QG play at a consistent level enough so far this season. That's someone that we looked at last season that can knock down the three. And well, RJ's dealing with migraines. He was playing some real good basketball at the start of the season, but now since the migraine,
he was at 44%. He's on like 25%.
Yeah, which is pretty brutal, no doubt.
I do want to say this though.
All I'm saying is to respect the scoring of a Jalen Brunson, who, yes, we could ask him to be more of a passer, OG. That's fine. You're a point guard. That's your job. But his job, especially when Randall was struggling, was to put the ball in the cup.
Actually, it wasn't, because he had other guys, and I've watched Jalen Brunson miss reads. I've watched him miss Mitchell Robinson wide open at the basket, and I think that De'Aaron Fox is more of a willing passer. There's a difference between a guy who passes and a more willing passer. I think that Jalen Brunson passes out of the offense out of necessity. I don't think that that's his game. I think that he wants to score the basketball more than he wants to pass. I feel like De'Aaron Fox passes the basketball, but I think he's more of a willing passer, even though he is a scorer.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this is a big year for SGA and Hallie. I think those two guys playing at the level they're playing, there's going to be extreme eyes on them come playoff time, because you're going to, the eyes are going to be on you in the sense of what you did in the regular season. You're going to have to show that or replicate that in the playoffs. Like, it's not going to be this is your first round, this is the first year. No, you kind of have to show,
like De'Aaron Fox.
Essentially, yes, because Fox's career was like waited. For SGA, it's just you were all NBA, you didn't make the playoffs. Now this year, you might be all NBA again, probably. Now you're in the playoffs, so now it's like, now you have to, there is no, this was his first. Like, you don't get that type of pass. You kind of have to show us what you can from day one. And that's the same with Hallie. Hallie might make all NBA. So when you make all NBA, you get a different tag on you. So you get a different expectation. You get less of a leash. So it's going to be all eyes on both of those guys for sure.
I think they'll be fine though. Two guards in recent memory that have done that. Their first playoff appearance, they balled out. De'Aaron Fox balled out against the Warriors.
Definitely.
And Devin Booker, first playoff run, he went to the finals. The only one in recent memory that really laid a stinker was Zach LaVine, and that's because you know the truth about him.
He was injured.
Fortunately.
He was injured.
It's matchup dependent.
No, use context. Your favorite word. He was injured.
That's his favorite.
I want to see, though, how that Pacers team's going to look in the playoffs.
Oh, my God.
I'm not as Rib. I mean, I think Hallie's going to play phenomenal, but, they're relying so much on their, hitting the three-point shot at a pretty ridiculous rate. So once you get into a 7-game series where coaches are going to be, we have 7 games against you, game slows down. Is the pace going to be as high, or they can be able to get so many easy buckets? Because I think that's the only pause I have in terms of, like, when we're ranking Hallie with, like, Trae Young and all of these guys, is I'm going into the playoffs expecting him to do this. I'm expecting him to go into the playoffs, and his efficiency will probably drop, because we see basically every player in the playoffs, your efficiency is going to drop at least somewhat. I'm expecting to drop, marginally, but I still think Hallie's going to go into the playoffs and play phenomenal. So when I'm comparing him to other point guards around the league, like, I think on the Would You Rather, I even took him over Trae Young, because sure, Trae Young, he went to the ECF, right? He's been in playoff moments against Boston. He had a couple big shots. He had a game-winning shot against us, took us to 6, where a lot of people weren't expecting, me included. But I see what Haliburton can do especially with his size, even though defensively they both have their issues, but with his size, his playmaking, his scoring ability, I feel like the ceiling on that is higher than a lot of these other point guards. So if you're only hesitant about him in the playoffs, I think that's you just basically copping out and saying, I don't think he's going to be able to keep it up in the playoffs. Because if you think he's going to keep doing this with what he's shown, again, limited sample size, we're 17, 18 games in, but he's showing in high leverage situations, the two big dogs in the East go up against the Celtics, beat them at home, he goes crazy. Go up against Milwaukee, beats them, goes crazy. Now he's going to go up against LeBron James. So he's going to be able to take out the two Titans in the East, then the biggest Titan of all time. If he's able to do that, I'm not going to sit here and have any questions about it.
Cup.
The NBA Cup, obviously,
ever NBA Cup
little
champion.
Funny, a little dorky,
LeBron James.
I mean, that's all you could show, because nobody was expecting the Pacers to make the playoffs last season. Like, I can't hold that against them.
But we are and did expect them to make the playoffs this year.
This year, yeah, but
Yeah, but
last
They're
year
even overachieving that we're expecting.
Yeah.
Oh no, number one offense, number one
Yeah,
pace,
yes.
number one EFG, number one true shooting. You got to respect. What's
And
going
last
on.
year, when the Pacers took everybody by storm, we all thought they were going to be a bottom team, and he had them as a top 6 seed in the East, and they were a top offense until he went out. And when he went out, their offense completely crumbled, and they just stopped winning games. So I think, Tyrese, when I'm judging him and I'm comparing him to other point guards, I'm kind of looking at it in a vacuum. And it's like, okay, if I'm dropping these guys into a situation, just a situation, it's not, just the same situation, who do I think gives me a better chance to win and gives me better output? I like Tyrese over a lot of other guys.
Another name we didn't mention, but have to respect him, Jamal Murray. He's not, I don't know if he's in this top 5 conversation, but
Jamal, we mentioned
because Jamal Murray just went on an insane playoff run.
It's just hard to properly judge.
And he's also been injured this year.
I don't think he's better than none of the guys we mentioned.
I don't think so either.
Me neither.
That's not no.
I don't know. No, we're talking about some of the best players
in the playoffs, though. His statistics.
He's also in a different role than 95%. Actually, probably all of those point guards.
What's the difference in roles between him and De'Aaron Fox?
De'Aaron Fox doesn't have a joker.
Jokic
That's a huge difference.
And Sabonis is a liability.
But Sabonis is one of those that he's the one kind of initiating, kind of getting things
going. They took him away in the
playoffs.
playoffs, though.
What do you mean by that?
The Warriors took away all the
series.
No, but take him away. I'm trying to understand where. Yeah, I'm with you.
He was
De'Aaron
not effective
was
at
the
all
best.
in that Golden State series.
Why? Because
That's what I'm saying.
Draymond Green.
But that's the point. Joker will still be effective.
Oh, it was Joker's Joker.
My reason is different. They took him away because all the dribble handoff actions that Sabonis ran in the regular season, they took that away.
He can't
so
shoot
a lot.
No,
so
he can't.
a lot of the Kings' offense in the
His mid-range
playoffs
is not terrible. He's just not a three-point shooter.
became heavily predicated on De'Aaron Fox ISOs and then De'Aaron Fox pick and rolls. They heavily relied on De'Aaron Fox because Sabonis and his pick and his dribble handoff actions were able to get taken away. And a big reason for that is because they do not respect his jump shot. And that's why they were able to scheme up.
Even in his post-up situations against Looney, against Draymond, they weren't as effective.
But in the finals, we saw Jamal Murray have to be the lead guard, the lead ball handler.
Was he, or did they just key in on Jokic and that opened up the floor for Jamal?
But that's essentially what happened in that Kings versus Warriors series.
No, because they just stopped running dribble handoff actions with Sabonis.
Because they couldn't do it. And obviously, you still could have done it with Jokic regardless. It'll probably have worked out regardless. But again, Murray had those on-ball responsibilities, was the leader in the series in assists, had double-digit assists in every single game. There's definitely the respect that needs to be put on Jamal, especially when we talk about how consistent and dominant he was.
I think saying he's like the 10th best point guard in respect.
I'm fine. I'm just saying we've got to respect him in this conversation too.
I don't think he should be in this conversation.
The difficulty,
definitely a conversation.
The difficulty with Jamal Murray is that if we're going to start comparing him to these other guys, we got to be like, okay, can Jamal Murray be our best player, stay healthy all year, and lead us to the playoffs?
Is Jamal Murray an All-NBA player?
He could be.
Where?
In front of who? In front of who, Drew?
Listen, year to year it happens. We saw De'Aaron Fox be an All-NBA player.
So I'm saying in front of who though?
Yeah, it's just De'Aaron Fox.
You got to be the 15 best players in the league.
De'Aaron Fox came out of nowhere last year.
De'Aaron Fox might not make an All-NBA team this year.
I don't know, but he's playing very high level.
It's also
position. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I forgot about that 1000%. The positionless is tough.
And if you're like the fourth best guard,
but you got to play games, and he definitely can't do that either.
Is he gonna be the fourth?
How long do you guys think that they're going to stick with this positionless thing? Because it's definitely a disadvantage for guards. It's definitely a disadvantage.
One of them ones, man. Luka will get first team no matter what, man.
Yeah, I think SGA could still compete for it. I still think that
if he's like a third,
Tyrese definitely can compete for it this year.
It depends on when their seeding is. I think.
You think Jamal Murray is better than Kyrie Irving?
But I think Kyrie's a 2 personally.
But who's a better player?
I'll always take Kyrie.
Okay.
I also think Kyrie's better.
I'll always take.
I think Kyrie's better than. It's just Jamal Murray is in such a perfect and defined role.
I feel like
there's nothing wrong with
it.
I only sit here in a little bit of confusion because all of our conversation on the offseason.
Oh,
why?
Who's the Brock Purdy?
Like it never fails.
Jamal Murray. Yeah. What the fuck?
That's an awful comparison.
You had him as top 7 guard coming to the season too.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, what the hell?
He was kind of serious. If we would have gone with it, he would have
been like, yeah, I cooked. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But top 7, I don't know if I had him top 7.
Jamal?
I don't know. Why do I feel like
I don't know. I don't know where I had Jamal. Jamal is just very tough to rank.
Everything's blurred.
He really is tough to rank him.
You
because
gotta, end of the day, go out there and execute.
If we're comparing all these players and what they're going to bring us,
look at impact. When Jamal Murray was off the court, they're not a contender. When he's on the court, they win a championship.
I had Jamal Murray in the Darius Garland, Jalen Brunson. I had him in that tier.
Brunson's questionable.
That's what that's the tier that I had him.
Your guy, Riv.
He doesn't watch
Garland
games,
getting thrown out.
I do.
He doesn't. I know he does. I just know he doesn't watch Cavs.
Why is that?
Because I can just tell by the way you talk about Darius Garland. Like, I know you don't watch Cavs games.
I watch. I 100% watch.
He's talking to me.
I'm talking to Drew. I know he doesn't watch Cavs games. I know he doesn't.
It's funny because, again, my big thing coming to the season, our argument was Haliburton and Garland. Correct.
Was that not an argument last year? Honest to God.
Well, again, with what Haliburton was doing as the lead guard, the best player on his
Garland
team.
was 21-7 as the second option.
That's still very
great.
Good. Still very good.
And before that, he was throwing this like this is where this
efficiency Haliburton.
This is how I know you didn't watch Cavs games last year. Because if you did watch Cavs games last year,
the team that I said that
you
was
would know that both of those guys was on similar level. Everybody knew that last year. If you want to say this year, which he's the only person who felt like this year would be a comfortable gap. But last year, everybody knew Haliburton and Garland were a legit conversation.
Was I not the one saying I would take Haliburton over Garland?
I don't remember.
What do you mean?
I just know last year you thought it wasn't a debate. That was foolish because it was a conversation. It was literally a debatable battle.
Again, I said Haliburton as the number one on his team had his team playing winning basketball. He gets hurt.
Garland did that the year before that, though.
They didn't make the playoffs.
They were in the play-in, though. Okay. That's winning basketball, is it not? No, what?
Not really.
Oh my God!
I mean, the team. What this you're saying before Mitchell?
Yes,
2 years ago
they were 7th seed.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
OKC,
that Cavs team wasn't all that.
OKC, they didn't make the play.
Thank you, Dehls.
That Cavs team was 2 years ago. That Cavs team wasn't that talented.
I understand. They also were still more of a defensive presence than they were anything offensively.
They got injured too.
I understand that.
Jared
Allen got injured.
Out of
Evan Mobley got injured.
No, it was just mainly Jared. Yes.
No, it was a lot of Evan Mobley also.
It was mainly Jared.
No, it was mainly Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley literally hasn't missed many games in his career,
except that rookie season down the stretch of the season.
Regardless, though, that team wasn't that talented. The team wasn't that talented.
It definitely
as a 7th seed, that's valid.
It was Evan Mobley who I believe did play in that game in versus the Nets that we went to, and it was just like, oh, he's actually playing today.
I just think the point of this conversation is it's just hard to rank Jamal Murray with other number one options.
Fair enough.
I don't know how he would look like as a number one option. I think he'd be 70 games awesome.
When were those 12 games missed? When were those 12 games missed?
I gotta go look at shit, man.
How many did Jared Allen miss? How about that?
No, Jared Allen I know was injured.
Yeah, he missed a lot of games.
He did.
What do you think about Darius Garland, OG?
Jared Allen
no, he missed a lot of games.
I dig Darius Garland. I thought that with getting Donovan Mitchell playing off the basketball, I thought that would make Darius Garland even better. Unfortunately, he hasn't really developed as much because, I don't really know what exactly it is. Is it the offense? They've made that offense tailored more to Donovan Mitchell, but Donovan Mitchell has become more of a playmaker and a distributor. And I watch these guys offensively where he gets a lot of guys wide open shots and they don't convert them. They don't convert them. And Donovan Mitchell is somewhat of a ball dominant guard, which takes the ball out of Darius Garland's hands. But Darius Garland was an all-star. Darius Garland was on his way to being something special. And I still feel like he's that. I still feel like he's a top 10 league guard in the game. But I feel like he kind of took a step back because Donovan Mitchell showed up, not just because his game or anything like that. I think that he looked at Donovan Mitchell as somewhat of the OG, and maybe I'm going to take a step back and play off of him instead of playing his game and being a distributor and being a scorer.
I think that's an excellent point, and it kind of brings me to this thought I had the other night of I think the Cavaliers really messed up their rebuild by trading for Donovan Mitchell.
Was this a dark room by yourself?
This was that type of moment,
okay.
Just me and my thoughts, and I was just thinking, and I was just thinking to myself, okay, Darius Garland in his third season, it was his third season, right? It was his second season.
I believe second.
And his second
first year
season,
was arguably one of the worst rookie seasons ever.
Yeah, it was. I just want to get the stats right, so I'm not misconstruing them.
I believe it
was his third season.
Third?
Yes.
Third.
So Darius Garland in his third season averaged 22 and 9 basically on 46 and 38 splits. Rookie Evan Mobley, Jared Allen coming to town. He was great. They were a great defensive team.
I mean, it's not like I talk about Garland like it's a sack of shit. It's just like he's not one of the guys that. Do I? Oh no, Drew, you're really wrong for saying you like Haliburton more. Oh, really,
just
really?
him a little bit.
Well, he's 11. I like LaMelo Ball better than him. Better than him. And LaMelo's been better than him this year.
The shitty team is not hard. I'll be honest.
That was Garland before Mitchell came to town.
Not necessarily. They were. What's wrong with this guy?
The Hornets were in the play-in too. To be fair,
yeah, 2 years in a row, back to back.
By 40. I just want to point that out. Like, listen.
You want to talk about playing basketball? Year 1, the Hornets are in the play-in. Year 2, they're
was LaMelo the best player in that team that year?
He was.
Or was it Gordon Hayward?
No, it was him.
All right,
it was him.
Just remember, dropped off when Gordon Hayward.
Just remember, you was at Barclays when Darius Garland was fucking it up.
And what did I say?
I just want you to remember that.
What did I say?
You've seen that with your own eyes.
He was
going toe to toe.
No, you said he was better than Kyrie.
He was killing. And you know what's sad about this clown dork right here? He watched them play Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and he's really talking about, this team is not a winning team. They were playing Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and he was going toe to toe with Kyrie.
What did I say in the moment? Riv, what did I say in the moment? I said you got it. I think he's not going to talk to me like a man. Talk to me like a man. What did I say to you?
I can't talk to a man that don't watch the Cavs. I just can't do it anymore.
I was watching the Cavs because last year, what did I tell you?
Matter of fact, every time you watch a Cavs game, take a picture and send it to me.
I'm not going to do that. You're not my father. That being said,
that's not.
You can't do it.
But at the same time, we watched that game. We watched that game. I said, hey, you got it. Garland definitely had a great ball game. What did he do that game after versus the Hawks?
They choked.
But what did he do? Because that's the conversation.
He got outplayed by Trae Young, respectfully.
Well, first of all, let's not make it sound like it was just Darius Garland. They had a bullshit game plan in terms of defensively.
They were winning that game, OG.
They were up 20.
They were up 20 points.
They're blitzing Trae Young with Jared Allen. No, that's not going to work. No.
Oh, gee, they blew it.
I wonder how they got a break. I mean, and teams go on runs. That's what happens in the NBA.
It is a game of runs.
It's a game of runs, and teams go on runs. And then when the game slowed down and they got back in the game, what they're doing, their defensive scheme, is they're blitzing Trae Young with Jared Allen. And he's basically licking his chops with that. Yeah, so that's not all on Darius Garland. Absolutely not.
Got hit more than 4 shots. That's all I'm saying. He's just got hit more than 4 shots.
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
I agree.
That's fair. What I was going to say, though, is that I think the Cavaliers messed up their rebuild. Darius Garland.
He was giving a whole monologue?
Yeah. And then you guys just, it's fine. I just do it again. I just start back. So
from the top, here we go.
Describe the room.
I think the room, it was just my regular room, my bed, got the TV in front of me, got my laptop. It wasn't completely pitch dark, just one of the moments where
laying on your stomach, kicking your legs back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's definitely what I do. Actually, it sometimes gives me back pain when I do it. Actually, it hurts a lot. Then I got to lay on my back.
Got it.
I think the Cavaliers messed up their rebuild by trading for Donovan Mitchell, because even though Mitchell is young, I don't think he quite fit the group as much as they thought he would. Darius Garland in his 3rd year averaged 22 and 9.
Yep.
He shot 46% from the field, 38% from 3.
So good.
The Cavaliers were in the playoffs until Jared Allen got injured. Then they fell off of the seedings. And I thought they were building something great. That team featured Lauri Markkanen, who in that summer played overseas and became a totally different player once he got back to the States. I'm looking at a world of course, hindsight is 2020, and we don't know that Lauri would have became that player, but I don't think Lauri became the player he is because he went to Utah. I think Lauri became the player he is because overseas, that gave him the confidence playing for Finland that he needed in the NBA game. So you're talking about a team with the Cavs and Garland and Lauri and Mobley and Jared Allen that I think if they don't trade for Mitchell the very next season, they could make the playoffs. They drafted Ochai Agbaji, who I think is a good 2-guard. He can defend and shoot. And with this core, with draft picks going forward, they would have had a much better chance at success long-term than they do with Donovan Mitchell, because I think Donovan Mitchell is going to leave Cleveland. I don't think he's staying there long-term. And if he leaves Cleveland, you're back to where you were going to start from if you didn't trade for him in the first place.
Yeah, all this is pretty dead.
Bring it up.
If
I don't want to do that, Tim.
Oh, why not?
Just because you told me I didn't watch.
He called you a
matter.
donkey dork.
It doesn't matter.
Bring it up. Bring it up.
It doesn't matter to me.
Bring it up.
Because you said I didn't watch, when I remember very vividly that Evan Mobley missed 5 games right before returning for that Nets game.
Interesting.
I'm just saying I don't watch, but I clearly was.
Okay. Congrats.
I see. You just minimize it now because you were wrong.
No, it's
cool.
You got it.
I do my job. Go ahead.
You got it. That's all I said.
Go ahead.
You remembered.
Ochai Agbaji.
You missed 5 games.
Talk to me.
I'm not gonna say anything about OG about you. What I'm gonna say is about OG's point. Garland has gotten better this year. I know some people in here don't watch the Cavs. So Garland has gotten better this year. He's up to his restricted area to 60%. Mid range is up to 53%.
We all saw the tweet.
Yeah. Floater game 48%. You know what I'm saying?
I'm locked in.
No, you're locked in on tweets. You're not locked in on the games. That's all I told you. That's all you told me just now. Because you feel what I'm saying? Garland packed on some weight.
Oh no, that's what. No, his boyfriend. That's what.
Dehls, he packed on some weight this summer. He's got to adjust.
You want to talk about Derek White next?
Derek White,
I
put you a stat.
Like Christian Woods, not even getting minutes.
Did y'all see Paul George with the head of Edwards? Did y'all see that? No, you didn't see that.
I didn't know.
We've been acknowledging big.
You know who's been mute about him? No, I ain't gonna say nothing. But listen,
what's that? Was that EPM? What was that?
It's basically like how much impact you bring.
Yeah, I didn't know that was your type of vibe. I know you're a big watch the game. That's why.
No,
I watch it too, but I need
talk to him.
Wait, I can easily
the advanced stats fit. He only uses advanced stat when it fits what he wants.
That's when you're supposed to.
That is the only time
bringing up Derek White.
When you was bringing up Hallie, you said I and then you brought up some advanced stats.
Wait, what are you talking about with Anthony Edwards?
Oh no, Paul George is ahead of him in estimated plus minus, which means who impacts the game more? Paul George is ahead of him on offense and defense.
Who the fuck is winning right now? Who the fuck is the number one seed? Who's number one seed in the Western Conference?
Oh, that's weak.
It's the Timberwolves.
That's weak.
Shout out to Rudy Gobert, man.
Shout out to Cat. What do you mean? Who leads in the scoring?
How's that week?
Because the Clippers, they got James Harden and his life went down. Your guy.
So Paul George is better because of EPM?
I was trolling.
Yo, Clippers been playing good the last 2 games.
They had
Nuggets and Warriors back to back.
Play better.
You know who's number one on that fucking list, though, right?
On EPM?
Yeah.
I think it's SGA.
No, it's not a think. It's a yes. It's SGA.
Shai
Gilgeous Skim fucking God Alexander. That's who's number one on that motherfucking list. And then you just ignore.
And because in the playing game, he was trash.
What does that have to do with anything?
I mean, you valued high leverage games, and now this.
Let me guess. The in-season tournament is now your new high leverage.
Didn't you just sit on LaMelo for being bad in the
playing game in April
or in the playing game? No, I'm saying SGA was bad in the playing.
He was.
Timberwolves.
He was
last year.
Yes.
And
Edwards was also dog.
No, Pelicans. Didn't they beat the?
They beat the Pels and they lost versus.
And Edwards was also dog shit against the Lakers. Remember that?
No, he was not. No, he was not. He just shot the ball bad, Riv. No, he was not dog shit.
I want you to score.
That's nonsense.
I don't want to hear
that is nonsense. No, he wasn't. He did the other stuff in order for them to be better than that.
But when Zach got hurt, all he said was Zach played like shit.
I'm with
now
you.
Dehls is
I agree.
That's just crazy to me.
Dehls never said anything bad.
I'm saying your boy right here.
I was trying to defend Ant.
Now
that's what I was trying to.
It's crazy.
I was trying to defend Ant.
All trolling aside.
You've been in big troll mood.
All trolling aside. We can have a little fun.
I agree.
Yeah, SGA is number one. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, he's playing like an MVP. Yeah,
that's all.
I don't have any problem with
top 10 player SGA stamped.
Ooh, dicey. Maybe
he's been playing at a top 10 level,
especially after coming off All NBA first.
Would you rather SGA, Devin Booker right now? Choose.
Would I rather Skim God? But who's better? Devin Booker.
What's the setting? Elimination?
In a vacuum, who are you taking?
I would take SGA, but look, Devin Booker's better. I would take SGA.
In a vacuum, just all bias aside, you think Devin Booker's a better player?
Devin Booker's a better player. I think he's the best 2 guard in the league.
I also would agree.
Remember when you thought Paul George was better?
He was at the time. What the fuck? Why do you act like you?
It's also his other boyfriend. To be fair.
The Suns were the first seed in the NBA at that time. They had won 60 games.
You're sliding around.
It's so mind-boggling.
Watching Joel, yo, it is so easy to turn Riv up. It's just not difficult at all.
You know, it's a funny story. I think
it's not difficult to turn Riv.
I thank Riv for his difference in opinion of thinking Paul George is better than Devin Booker because that's how I met Jess. That tweet when I tweeted,
you're
Devin
fucking
Booker,
welcome. I gave you your wife.
When I tweeted about Devin Booker being Paul George, she liked it. I saw profile.
You're welcome. Now look at you. Now you thank me for the record. Like this is insane.
Oh my god,
yo, it's crazy, bro. OG, you know what's sick about this Pick a Side podcast? You know what's sick about this group of men is that you could argue about a take at the moment. And then a year later, all of a sudden, it's like, well, yeah, now he's the way better player. I was right all along.
I'll tell you what.
Like we just had this conversation, like we had this conversation last week.
This shit nasty.
Wait, at the time though, the D Book and Paul George shit was definitely a debate.
Wasn't that last year?
No, that's what I'm saying.
It was 2 years ago when it was last year. It was the year that It was the year that they lost to the Mavericks in the playoffs when they won 65 games in the regular season.
It was the year. I thought it was the year Paul George to the WCF. Oh no, he just.
It was the year after that.
Yes, it was a conversation.
I thought that was last year.
No, that was 2 years when they lost to the Mavs. Yeah.
No, yeah, when
two seasons ago.
It was right before they lost to the Mavs, right? Or in the middle. It was that year.
We were definitely debating that already.
It was that year. So it was a conversation, and now all of a sudden, because D-Book, I say he's the best two-guy in the league, he's bringing it up. I get it.
Oh no, actually, you're right. It might have been last year.
I thought it was last year
because that's when I made the tweet. It might have been last year. Yeah, it might have been. Last year.
What the fuck did Paul George do for making me say last year?
I don't know.
Because last year was Ant-Man and Paul George. I don't think it was last year.
No, that was an off-season topic.
No, that was like a January topic.
No, because I remember that we had the debate the day that you ate the spicy chip.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, we did.
No, we had another one before that. When I had my laptop and I cooked you.
That was one of them.
Yeah, that was the moment. Like that was
I
cooked. Like it was bad, bro. I cooked you that day. Like that moment, I did. Like I had my laptop and I was just destroying.
It's crazy. Laptop Riv only comes out on special occasions, but he's a generational talent.
His debate for the Paul George over Anthony Edwards when we had the debate.
I wasn't here.
I thought you was. No, he was.
Chip, I wasn't here.
No, not the chip one. Not the chip one.
I think
y'all went on a world tour that
same
we
were arguing for like an hour.
No, Dehls was
legit hour.
His main talking point with the debate was the same thing he just said to you, that I don't watch the Clippers, and that's why I'm saying Anthony Edwards is better than Paul George.
You can't say that to me.
You don't watch. But you know what's fucking funny? Because his main argument was, well, you don't watch the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
we were saying, you don't watch them. You don't watch them.
No. After he said it to me, that's
you watching the Celtics.
I got sucks out right now.
After Riff said it to me, that's when I said, How often do you watch Timberwolves? Like, how are you telling me I'm not watching?
And I gave him an honest, genuine answer. He lied to me about how many games he watched the Clippers.
No, you just think I lied to you because you don't believe me. Regardless if I say yes or whatever, you're not going to believe me.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's like I know you guys weren't watching Lakers game last year with all that.
I admittedly told you I wasn't. I admittedly told you. I told Dehls the other day, I don't watch Lakers. I told him that like 4 or 5 years ago. I don't watch Lakers.
We were talking in the car, like, what game are we going to watch? And I was like, I think it was Lakers Houston. You're like, I don't watch the Lakers.
Like, I just don't. Like, it's y'all come on when the Warriors or the Clippers come on. It's quiet.
That's why I'm always Celtics are my 7 o'clock, and then whoever the 9 o'clock, that's when you should watch the Lakers. Or Nuggets.
You just unfortunately they all come on at the same time. I don't know.
You got to watch box office television.
Yeah, I'm usually tuning to the Lakers, so I'm rooting against them.
Steph is
generational hater. Whatever.
This week in the NBA, this week in the NBA, outside of the NCAA tournament, what has caught your eye?
Outside of the in-season tournament, what's caught my eye? Well, Ja's coming back. Ja's coming back pretty soon. I heard about that. I think that's a pretty big deal. The trade, the teams are able to trade coming up really soon. Today is I believe it's the 8th. So I think we got 1 more week left. So I was thinking about that we got 1 more week left in terms of teams opening up to be able to trade. And the Clippers with James Harden, I'm just not on. Riv and I have had this conversation. I am not on the Clippers train. I got my bags and I jumped off that train years ago. I am out on the Los Angeles Clippers. I am out.
And mine kind of goes hand in hand with OG talking about the players being able to be traded now, because mine was going to be about Zach LaVine. We spoke about Zach LaVine a little bit earlier. He's going to be out 3 to 4 weeks before he's reevaluated again. And there's a strong chance we saw the last of Zach LaVine in a Bulls uniform. Now, that also, OG, could go hand in hand with the Los Angeles Lakers, where we are no longer in a period where D'Angelo Russell can't be traded, Rui Hachimura can't be traded. These are just players that we just signed in the offseason that I think December, either 17, 16, around that date, that's the date that we can't trade anymore. So now it becomes a conversation of, are the Lakers going to be in a position to acquire Zach LaVine, where D'Angelo Russell has been playing some pretty efficient basketball. Now, we know that it's early in the season. This is where we see D'Angelo Russell thrive. But again, we spoke about it earlier with LaVine in a situation with the Lakers where he doesn't have to be the number one. And he doesn't have to worry about the leadership role. He can just go out there and hoop. I think that with that idea, where people have brought that idea to me, I'm not sure if I would mess up anything right now that the Lakers have going on defensively. We're going to talk about the Lakers a little bit, so maybe let me not get ahead of myself. But again, that idea of adding Zach, where in theory We would love to have the extra scoring option, an efficient scorer in his own right. Up and down he's been this season. But I don't know if I would make that move. But Zach LaVine, I think we have seen his last days in a Chicago Bull uniform.
Yes. My bad.
Go for it.
This week in the NBA, they labeled me the Hallie hater. So, I'm always grateful to grab a new guy to hate on. So last year it was Ant-Man. This year it was Hallie. So I got
on all the
stars. What's wrong with this guy? This is what they label me on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? But I want to do it this week in the NBA. Can you respect me? Respect me, please. Thank you. I want to do this week in the NBA because I was watching the Paul George podcast and Hallie said, he's recruiting. He said he's recruiting early. He wants to get guys to Indiana. And I saw somebody put under Paul George reunion, and it was exciting a little bit just to think about Paul George's time in Indiana. But Indiana is hunting for some stars. Indiana is making calls. Hallie said he is very much in tune with the front office. They've been having conversations. They are definitely trying to get a star. They don't want to wait on this. They don't want to sit here and do nothing like the Kings kind of did in a sense. They want to make a move now. They want to bring in another star, maybe to get this thing going. So look for some, maybe a Lauri Markkanen, who I think would fit beautiful. Maybe a Pascal on an expiring, Paul George on an expiring. Just look. I'm just naming guys that are on expirings, but look out for Indiana to be in the front running because I think that big market shit is kind of dead. I think because you look at Ant, you look at Hallie, LaMelo over there in Charlotte, SGA, and OKC. You can see stars from low market teams. I think they're going to start trying to lure guys in. And I think with Indiana playing at the way they're playing, they could probably bring in maybe not a major guy, but a guy like Lauri would be fucking dope. Yeah, Lauri, awesome, Lauri, one of them ones.
Lauri is one of those players that nobody's talking about as much in the trade market, but he's the best player available via trade that you can get.
18 mil too.
18 mil, and he is the perfect fit for what every team wants to do. I think Lauri,
Mikal Bridges too.
Lauri's a better trade piece than LaVine. He's a better trade piece than Siakam.
That bullshit trade that Cleveland
fans are hilarious.
That shit sucked.
But if I'm Cleveland and they hit me, yes, and just bang.
Because you said yes, and I'm just like, why are you entertaining?
I was speaking as a Cleveland fan. Yes.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm a Cleveland guy.
2 seconds. Who was it?
I thought it was a steal for me.
I'm sorry.
I thought the Nets were stealing.
It was embarrassing.
Carroll is one of them ones. He's improved. You slept.
He's average.
That's all we needed him to be. That is.
It was bad.
That was cooking. Remember, his 3-point shot got up. Now, listen, man. That's all I'm saying.
This week in the NBA is and I don't want to tip my card too much in this week in the NBA. We're gonna talk about the next topic, but my other this week in the NBA was the Knicks. OG. I think the Jalen Brunson playmaking narrative is a little bit overblown. And I think that you've maybe attributed to your cousin Shaq going on inside the NBA and calling Jalen Brunson a jock.
Actually, I actually said what I said before Shaq said what he said. I didn't even know that Shaq said that, to be honest.
I was watching Inside the NBA last night for the NCAA tournament, and Shaq called Jalen Brunson a jock. He called Randall the best player. I know those aren't your opinions. I'm not saying they are. And everybody inside the NBA was just slandering the Knicks because they're stuck in the middle and they're just a playoff team. And everybody was kind of vouching for this idea that they should just go and make a trade for another star. And I just don't agree with that notion. I've seen the Knicks for a long time, and I went through a dry spell where I hadn't seen them make the playoffs in 8 years until Julius Randle had the breakout year in his second year with the Knicks. And we're finally a team that has structure. We're competitive, and we just want to make a move that's short-sighted for a Zach LaVine or a Siakam that no player on the market right now is going to bring us a championship. So the fact that this is even a narrative that the Knicks are being too complacent with their trade assets, I think is a bit ridiculous. I think it's okay for us to be just competitive and just a playoff team. Brunson is 27, Randall's 29, RJ is 23, IQ is 24, Dante DiVincenzo is 27, Josh Hart's 28, Mitch is 25, Grimes is 23, Hartenstein is 25. 4 of our best 9 players are 25 and under. So I don't see
for Dante, by the way.
Thank you. I don't see a reason why the Knicks should go out and make a move when nobody that is on the market is going to get us closer to a championship. And I just don't understand this idea of just being impatient, because they are slandering the Knicks for not making a move. I guarantee you, if the Knicks do make a move and we go out and let's say like trade for Zach LaVine, when that doesn't work out, they're going to say they should have never made the move. And it's going to be exactly like that. The Knicks are fine being patient where they
Pascal
are right
Siakam wouldn't be an upgrade over Julius Randle.
No, not really.
Oh my lord,
Julius has been playing really well, but it's not the move that brings to a championship.
He can pass, play defense, score.
The Raptors are going to accept Julius Randle for Pascal.
I don't know.
No, you're going to
They
need more
will
than
not.
that. You're going to need pieces of picks probably. My this week,
Not straight up. I mean, what trade is ever straight up, Joel?
I'll give you pieces.
What do the Knicks have that the Raptors will accept for Pascal Siakam?
Good question. And you don't want to trade QG?
That doesn't involve Julie. That what does it or does not involve Julius Randle. I would not want Siakam and Randle on the same team.
I agree.
Yeah.
No,
Yes.
I'm not trying to do that.
So something would have to involve Randle.
Picks would go. Randle would go.
So I'm
For
saying
Siakam?
Yeah, for Siakam.
Randle is just as good of a player as Siakam.
Just as good.
Yes,
I think the floor is safer with Siakam
because of the playoffs. But like
Yeah.
what they give us in
Which
the
is all
regular
that
season-
matters.
Well,
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe. I'm with when it comes to Julius Randle because I'm a Julius Randle advocate. But he's got this season in the playoffs to show it to me. Otherwise, I'm out. After this
Again,
season,
On the
I'm
defensive
out.
side of the ball, I'm with Siakam.
that's true.
I think
And you
Siakam's
guys
better.
are your identity has been
I
defense.
think Laurie better than both.
He is.
Just saying.
Laurie would be an awesome ad.
Just saying. I would rather go get him.
It's just Siakam in the playoff series. He can have inefficiencies as well. Not as bad as Randle. Randle has been
I
horrific.
feel like Randall does it too. It's all mental.
Randle has given me
All-time drop
nightmares.
off in the playoffs.
Yeah, Randle has given me nightmares with how bad he's been. But Siakam has had playoff series as one of the main guys where he's been
Garbage.
He has been
When?
terrible.
Garbage.
When he was the main guy after Kawhi left, that first
That
playoff
was-
run
yeah, that was
in
rough.
the bubble.
Against the Celtics.
Yeah, he
It was
wasn't
both.
good.
He wasn't that good in that run. It was rough, actually. Like, really
If
rough.
Leonard is on that team, they back in the NBA Finals.
of course,
That's not
Yeah.
crazy at all to say.
I know.
The 7-game series with the Celtics, am I wrong?
Yeah.
You almost lost.
Dog fight, by the way.
Yeah.
Fucking game-winning shot in the corner. My this week in the
Yes.
NBA. Two pieces of trade news. Number one, Boston Celtics. They're gonna be very active. But actually, the one I really want to talk about was Joel brought up the Knicks, but a report just dropped from the Athletic about 20 or 30 minutes ago. That teams are eyeing a package of IQ, Evan Fournier, and Quentin Grimes. Now, it was interesting because in the offseason, you had a chance, you were talking about the Knicks, Joel, to extend Emmanuel quickly, and you guys chose not to. So you have the decision now. I still think he should be, part of this core going forward. He's one of your younger pieces because you mentioned, Brunson and Randall are in their later 20s. IQ is still in his early 20s. Grimes as well, still one of a younger piece. So if I'm the Knicks, at some point, you're going to have to make a choice, right? You could extend IQ in the offseason. Maybe that gives you some more room to get a superstar player on a higher salary. But there's teams out there that are looking at all of those guys because this is going to be the last year to be able to trade for quickly before he's going to be making that, $20+ million contract.
That makes sense. And it's a tough decision for the Knicks to make because I don't know if I'm giving IQ that much if he's going to be my sixth man.
Yeah, I'm tweaked.
Yeah, so that's tough. The
Grimes
Lakers.
has already made it clear. Grimes has already made it clear that he doesn't really feel comfortable playing for
playing
Tibbs.
well
He feels
right now.
like every other.
What do you
every
think is
other-
the issue with Tibbs? Because I know a lot of players, they don't like playing for him. The Athletic put out this poll of what coach do you not want to play for? And Tom Thibodeau was number one. What do you think is the issue with Tibbs? OG?
Joe, it's hard to play as an offensive player where every time, not just an offensive player as a scorer. It's hard to play where every time I shoot the basketball, I'm looking over my shoulder. Every time I do anything, I'm looking over my shoulder. It's hard to play and be productive when you're playing in a system like that. And Tibbs is an old school guy. Tibbs has a short hook. He's got short patience. He's one of those guys who I watch on the sideline. He always looks like he's never happy. He's always looking like something's always wrong. It's difficult playing for guys like that, especially when you don't have a system to keep guys to keep guys engaged. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that he runs a lot of sets, and I feel like he gets guys in position to score. But then there's times when the game opens up, right? And when the game opens up, you got to just let me rock. And I feel like he doesn't let a lot of guys do that. He did let Derrick Rose do that. But then you got guys like Quentin Grimes, Quentin Grimes can make open shots. Quentin Grimes can be a really good productive scorer when you turn him loose. You can't turn everybody loose. But if I'm a starting two guard, at some point you got to turn me loose. You have to, and just let me rock. And I don't feel like he does that with a lot of his guys. And he hasn't done that with Quentin Grimes, which would explain why Quentin Grimes hasn't been as productive as he would like to be.
I mean, said that
That
too
makes
after the
sense.
game the other day.
Yeah, Quentin Grimes, he's a good player. I just think you're right. It's just a lack of opportunity. The Lakers made the in-season tournament finals. They will face the Pacers. They're on a bit of a hot streak. They're winning a lot of games. Their defense is one of the best in the NBA. At this current moment, where would you rank the Lakers in terms of the entire Western Conference?
I'll start.
I'm good. I'm happy because I think people know where I'm going to start.
No, yeah. Mine's pretty quick. I have them ranked in the same place I had them in the offseason. I think they're a top 3 team in the West. I think they're still up there with the Denvers. I think they're better than Phoenix. I thought they were better than Phoenix in the offseason because I think 1 to 10 they're deeper. And I think you have LeBron James, you have Anthony Davis. I understand Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal, but I think defensively the Lakers give you a lot more. And then with the emergence of Cam Reddish, just started. I've been trying to tell you about Cam Reddish for years, man.
I was open-minded.
He's finally found a role. Love that for my boy. Great role player. He's not going to be a star. I thought he was going to be
elite defender.
That's fine. Great role player. Hits shots when he needs to. One of their best POA defenders. Long, athletic, lengthy, handsome. He does all the good things.
Looks good.
And then, of course, Vando is back. When you get Vando's back defensively, that's a defensive nightmare. You have Vando. You have LeBron, who still plays D. AD, man in the paint. You have Cam Reddish at the POA. Gabe Vincent could give you something on the defensive end. Austin Reeves is a good team defender.
What do you do to Devin Booker?
You got a lot of good defenders on that team. And then offensively, they may not be elite offensively, but they do just enough. And then LeBron is still doing this. This could arguably be the best team in the league. I still give respect to Denver. I still like Boston over there in the East. But we're looking at the Lakers. They're healthy now. They weren't healthy before. They got their defensive players back. And if LeBron is playing like this, then this is a great team. My only gripe is with that man down low. I need him to be better offensively. I've been asking for that for a while now. I just don't feel like LeBron needs to be doing this in November and December. I feel like he should maybe not, I don't want to say coast, but definitely save all that up for the playoffs. Hey, if he can do it, shout out to fucking LeBron. But I do think AD needs to be more assertive on the offensive end for sure. But the Lakers, like I said, in the offseason, I stand on what I say today. I still think they're a top 2 team in the West.
I'll let you guys talk, but I'll just respond to the AD point before I talk anything else. I think we need to get him the fucking ball.
Sure.
Throw him the ball in the paint. Let him go to work. Run more pick and roll sets with him. That I feel like that's not more so on AD and his lack of assertiveness. It's just more so not involving him in the offense as much, especially when we know the impact player that he is. So I agree that numbers-wise, it could look like he's inconsistent, but when you're watching, you're just like, why is he not getting the rock? That is more so what's infuriating to me. But you guys go ahead.
My top 3 teams in the West. Number 3, I have the Lakers. I think they're number 3. They're climbing up the rankings.
Love to hear number 1.
You know the Timberwolves are here.
The Timberwolves are the best team in the Western Conference. And in fact, I think this year they will 100% make the Western Conference Finals.
All right, wait a minute. 2 minutes, 2 hours, 11 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 hours. It fucks me up every time. 2 hours, 11 minutes. 40 seconds. No, he said it at 22 seconds.
Make sure you stamp it.
Stamp that, please.
2 hours and 11 minutes.
And OG.
Episode 333.
OG, I love you like a Joel, just like we do. When it hits February and March, when the weather gets real icy outside, he's going to tell us a different team is going to be coming out the West. And I can't, if he stands on business, if he stands on business in February, that'll be the first time he's ever done it on this show. So let's see.
Now that's cap.
And add it. Timestamp it. Fans, let's do it.
I was a year early. Okay. The last year, I saw the vision with Minnesota being the first seed. They didn't do it because you can see clearly now Cat was hurt for 52 games, and that's what really held them back from being the first seed in the West. But this year, it's been a different team. And this year, the Timberwolves are exactly the team I envisioned them becoming when they made the Rudy Gobert trade. And the reason why I have them as the number 1 seed in the West is not just because of a 20-game sample size. It isn't. It's because of their matchup they had against the Denver Nuggets in the playoffs. Bruce Brown going on podcasts and saying, this is the team that gave us the most fits in the playoffs. And when I look at a matchup versus the Nuggets, if they play them, Rudy Gobert and Jokic, we know Jokic is going to get his. That's a great neutralizer. Having Jaden McDaniels for a series against Jamal Murray is going to make it really hard for him. And if you can neutralize that 2-man game between them, I like the Wolves' chances. And then versus the Lakers, the Lakers are a team that they get to the basket and they get to the free throw line. They're very efficient that way. LeBron is having his best 3-point shooting season this year, but the team as a whole is not a great jump shooting team. When you look at how the Wolves match up with the Lakers, Rudy Gobert is going to take away shots at the basket, and they have the perimeter defenders to force more contested perimeter jump shots. And if the Timberwolves can force the Lakers to get into a jump shot battle with them, that gives them their best chance to win. I think the Timberwolves match up with the top teams in the Western Conference with their personnel. And you know how I feel about Anthony Edwards. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of the league. And I think Anthony Edwards is going to have sooner or later one of these runs where he takes the Timberwolves to the conference finals, maybe even the NBA finals. I think this team is so good, they can even make the finals. Western Conference Finals, I think they're going to make it 100% for sure because they match up against anybody in the West. But they can make the finals.
Who's the other team?
This team is that good.
Who's the other team that would like make it? Phoenix? You still on Phoenix?
Phoenix is there. My top 4 is the Lakers.
I don't know. I heard today that he's off Phoenix.
Would you hear that?
No, I'm not off.
When
Phoenix.
I was on Bleacher Report, he told me he was off Phoenix.
I didn't say that. I said
he said he could see them losing in the first round.
Ooh, yes. This is the context to it. Drew not giving me context.
I was there. I was there.
First round exit.
I said the biggest disappointment this season has been Bradley Beal's injury on the Suns because he hasn't played. And if this back injury is more serious than we think, and if the Suns go into a playoff series with KD and Booker and no Bradley Beal, they can get upset if they get a bad matchup in the first round. They need all 3 of their stars to come out the West and even match up with teams with a top-heavy West. If you're talking about the Suns with no Bradley Beal, with just KD and D Book, if they match up against the Clippers in the first round,
imagine that.
That's a toss-up series.
Just Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, that's not good enough.
Well, it's a big reason for that because we know that they're a top-heavy.
We
team.
always talk. We always talk when healthy, though. I don't think we talk in retrospect.
I mean, we're talking about it's a top-heavy team. You know, did you expect the Miami Heat when LeBron formed with them? If they lost one of D Wade or Bosh,
we never thought like that. We never thought like that.
No, but
sure.
Right now,
but that's going on right now, though. That's going on right now with the Phoenix Suns, and not only is it going on right now with the Phoenix Suns, when are we going to get Bradley Beal back on a consistent basis? Because he comes back 2-3 games, and then he's out of the lineup again for 3 weeks. Then he comes back for another game or 2, and then he's out of the lineup for 3 or 4 weeks again. So, I mean, when are we going to get these guys back on a consistent basis? That's first of all. Drew, when you mentioned Alex Caruso, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I hate giving up Rui. I do not want to give. If
I get it.
If there's something else I can give you, sure. I don't want him to hold up the trade, but I'd really rather not give up Rui. I would rather not give up Rui. Now, as far as Joel telling me about the Minnesota Timberwolves, this is what I envisioned last year. Yes. This is before Cat missed 54 games. This is what I envisioned. I envisioned these 2 guys, both Rudy and Cat, playing high-low offense. I envisioned both Cat and Rudy being better defensively. Rudy taking a lot of pressure off Cat defensively, where he doesn't have to guard 5s. He's not going to get beat up as much as he would in the past. He can be better offensively. He can be and Rudy can be more of a lob threat, like he's been with this unit. Plus, with Mike Conley involving him more in the offense, and if they get Jaden McDaniels back healthy, this is what I had envisioned for this team being a top 5 seed in the West. Did I think that they would be the number 1 seed? I didn't think that they'd be that good, but I envisioned them being a damn good team in the Western Conference. And what I'm seeing in the Western Conference right now, I am not sold on everybody. I think the road to the NBA championship goes through the Denver Nuggets. I think the Lakers are a contender. Minnesota is right there. I feel like they're right there. I think Anthony Edwards at some point is going to be the MVP of the league. I am not on the fence about that. I am certain that at some point he's going to. I don't think he's going to be in the conversation. I think he's going to be the MVP of the league. How elite he's going to be on both sides of the basketball. I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought that quickly. But Drew, you just told me about Devin Booker being the best 2 guard in the game. Just like I told you about Haliburton. In 2 years, we're going to have a real conversation about him being the best league guard in the game. In 2 years, Anthony Edwards will be the best 2 guard in the game.
Now, OG, question. Those Los Angeles Lakers, what are they a top 2 team?
He said they're contenders.
I heard contenders, but
they only they're half a game out the 2 spot. A half game. They're half a game out the 2 spot. This is what I saw with the Lakers before the season started. I thought they were legit contenders, and I feel like with the Lakers, matchups are everything. If they could get somebody to deal with Denver, they got a real shot in getting out of the Western Conference.
The issue is I don't know if somebody can deal with Denver.
Minnesota can.
I think Minnesota can deal with Denver. That was their. I know how you feel about it, but contrary to what you guys may think, Bruce Brown will tell you they were in a dogfight last year in that series. They were in a dogfight.
Don't pay attention to the 5-game series because in game 6,
don't pay attention to the win-loss result.
The Lakers lost in 4, but I could try and say, hey, it was a good series.
Game 1.
Just so you know, Drew, that 4 games that you lost to the Lakers by an average margin of 4 points. Every game was a dogfight. Don't get me wrong, you lost, and we're looking at the results, and I'm an advocate of when you get swept in the playoffs, you're not close. But it was a dogfight. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely that.
Game 1, Denver versus Minnesota was not a close game. Every game after that, it was a close game.
Edwards' worst game.
And it was game 5. Game 5, Anthony Edwards had a chance to hit a jump shot that would have won the Timberwolves the game, and he missed the shot. But guess what? You live with Anthony Edwards taking that shot, and he gonna take that shot. So they didn't have Jaden McDaniels in that series, and they did not have Naz Reid in that series.
But they had Cat Gobert. Right.
They had kind of Gobert.
No, I'm not disagreeing. So you're saying every game was close, and in every close game, the Denver Nuggets just situationally in the fourth quarter in the clutch came out the W.
I saw the one game, but every game was close. Nuggets came out situationally.
That's why I'm fine with your 3. I think that is the top 3 in the Western Conference.
Don't sleep on OKC now.
OKC can't be any of these teams
right out of my mouth. I'm not going to disagree. I think that the Timberwolves cannot beat the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves and OKC would be a good series.
It'd be great, but the Timberwolves would dominate
because
them.
Well, let's not pretend like the OKC.
They would beat them in 5. They would beat them in 5.
OKC.
What gives you that confidence?
Because their front court cannot match up.
That's it.
Why?
Yes.
Chet Holmgren
can't match up with Rudy Gobert.
The last game they played was pretty close.
Rudy Gobert is too strong.
I don't think they played. Is it tonight? Did they play tonight?
They played last
week. They played last week.
Timberwolves play the Grizzlies tonight. Excuse me.
They played last week. I think Anthony Edwards, that might have been the game he got hurt.
It was, I believe.
And they still managed to win that game.
Yeah. OKC was up big in that game.
I just don't think Chet Holmgren is going to be great. Chet Holmgren is great right now.
He's the rookie of the year.
But until
everyone is booing Giddey.
Yeah, thanks. Chet Holmgren is going to be great. He's awesome right now, but it's going to take him a couple more years to match up with Rudy Gobert.
Listen, I don't think they would dominate OKC. I don't think so. I think that would be a really good series. I do think Chet would be a problem because that's a player that can take Rudy Gobert out the paint. Yes. You're going to have to guard him from that 3-point line. And I also think SGA, J-Dubs, that's a little issue. But also, once again, I don't want to go too much into that.
But a great thing about that is that Jaden McDaniels can guard Chet. Jaden
he has to guard SGA.
But no, Ant will guard SGA.
And that's food.
That's not what?
Food's SGA's going to get hits.
Ant Edwards, looking at some numbers, Ant Edwards hasn't been this elite one-on-one defender.
SGA is going to get his regardless. Saying food does sound disrespectful to Anthony Edwards. All I mean is that SGA is just going to get his.
He's just going to do it.
You make it feel like he's finna lock SGA. Like, he ain't finna.
No, I'm saying that, like, you can put Jaden on Chet and be very
I wouldn't want to do that though.
That Edwards.
I wouldn't want Jaden on SGA.
If you're gonna take him outside into the perimeter, you can put Jaden on Chet.
Listen, do what you want.
All I'm saying is that Anthony Edwards.
Hopefully, Giddey's gone by then, and they have Laurie, and then you have to put whoever you want on.
Guys, you know what? I'm not appreciating how this is supposed to be a Lakers topic, and we're talking about teams not.
You're gonna see when it comes to the playoffs. When it comes to the playoffs, and you're actually watching the Timberwolves all the time, and you're seeing when Anthony Edwards has to be locked in. You're gonna see how menacing he is.
Here's on the thing.
Guys acting like Minnesota's this 3-time Western Conference championship.
No, I'm acting like they're up next and they are here.
OKC's
That's
right
what
there,
they are.
Timberwolves are up next. Definitely 1,000.
I'm all saying is
OKC is up next too.
Yeah,
I'm not sleeping on OKC.
That was
they just wouldn't beat Minnesota in the series.
Listen. I'm not saying that's I think the crazy thing you said was dominant. I don't think they dominate.
It's a 5.
I think it's a 6-game series. And even if you want to say 5, I think it's
over 5-6.
I think it's still a close ass 5 games. I don't think it's domination is like you get destroyed almost every single game. It's like what the Bucks did to the Bulls.
I mean, they did just beat them without Ant Edwards.
That was a close game.
It was without
I mean, you lost to the Pacers. Am I going to say
and
the
without
Pacers beat you on the
Jaden
series?
didn't play either.
Huh?
You lost to the Pacers. Am I going to say the Pacers beat you on the series?
No, but
All
it feels a little bit different.
Doesn't feel different
Because neither of these teams have, gone on runs in the
Goodness
ECF.
gracious,
WCF.
shooting over 50%.
I'm guessing you want to talk about the Lakers.
I was about to say, Drew. I was just about to say, Drew and Riv. I know that you want to see more consistency from Anthony Davis. For the record, that was a 20-20 game last night. He didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
for sure. He was on his way to 20 and 20 last night before he was yanked in the third quarter. And to Drew's point, there's plenty of times where I see him dive into the basket on the pick and roll. D'Lo, get off the peel. So there's plenty of time I'm watching him. I'm watching them play against Phoenix, and he switched on to Eric Gordon, and he's on the block. Get him the basketball. What are we doing? Why is he not involved more in the offense? So James makes a conscious effort to get him involved, but I'd like to see guys like D'Angelo Russell get him more. But the problem is D'Angelo Russell is more of a scoring guard. Because he's more of a scoring guard, he doesn't pass. So I think those reads are a lot more difficult for him than James. James is the primary distributor and playmaker for this unit. So he's the guy that's creating a lot of offense for Anthony Davis. Not to say that Anthony Davis can't create his own offense, but he's the guy creating a lot of offense for Anthony Davis.
So my thing is that not on the coach to get the guys like Reeves, LeBron, whoever it is, to get AD more involved with the I get D'Lo's a scoring guard. But there's just certain easy reads that you should just know. Like AD switched when Eric Gordon's guarding him, give him the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'll be honest. A lot of that is player mistake. And also Darvin also could be at fault too. But why I'm a little bit more lenient on it now with D'Lo is we see him be efficient so far this season. He's shooting the ball at a crazy clip. He's been one of our better offensive players. I think with Reeves in the lineup too, I think he knows situations where he needs to give AD the ball. Same with LeBron. But D'Angelo Russell, who's the other guy that has the basketball in his hands a more majority of the time, he inconsistently hits AD on the block. Maybe that needs to be more so on AD side as well, being more vocal. Hey, give me the ball. I'm on the block with a mismatch. I have a child. Give me the ball so I can do something. We could also say that, but also it needs to be on Darvin's part too. Let's draw up this play for AD. It's an obvious mismatch. It's like last night, LeBron was in a different mode. That was just a takeover like we haven't seen from LeBron when he gets into that in a while, I should say. But when he gets into those modes, there's no stopping him. He's just the best player on the court when he gets into those. But we anticipated that it would be a matchup that AD can dominate because there's no force that can stop AD on the Pelicans. You can laugh all you want. He clears your goat.
It's because clears is stupid, but it's because
he clears your goat. He clears your goat. Who's your goat?
I saw Joel.
Now he's going to switch conveniently to Michael.
No, I thought we were saying like who's
Steph.
the greatest of all time to you,
no.
but man, my goat, he clears Steph. But no, I saw Joel from the corner of my lap smiling. That's why I was smiling.
Wait, I thought you were in support of LeBron going.
No,
crazy.
he was. It's just I'm seeing him and I'm like don't want to look at him because I'm gonna start smiling. So I kind of
I saw him in the corner of my eye smiling too. But
that's all. But it was nothing.
But all I'm doing on my end, I'm just looking at Anthony Edwards' defensive highlights. I just got to familiarize myself again with the disrespect that you was talking about.
Look up Isaac O'Carroll's highlights. You'll find some great stuff. He's a good
defender. They got Jaylen Brown highlights on down.
Riv, are you putting Isaac Okoro and Anthony Edwards in the same category defensively? Am I about this kind of stuff? Is the stuff that takes years off my life. It just does when you say stuff like that.
Defensively, talk to me, Riv. What you think?
Hey,
are you kidding me?
There it goes.
This is the kind of stuff that takes years off my life.
Nah, I'm trolling. I think with Ant Locker, he's a better defender, but Okoro obviously is more engaged because he has to be. That's
and Tatum's a better defender than the two of them.
Easy.
Nice.
I'm asking a question.
I don't know. The length gives him an advantage, but
undoubtedly, yeah. Now,
Anthony Edwards really locked up.
Anthony Edwards really good, but again, when the conversation is strictly playing defense on SGA, you can't be upset at someone that's saying, "Yeah, SGA's still going to get his."
No, you just said he was getting cooked.
Okay. It's SGA.
You said he's food. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God.
Edwards would not do.
And I'm going to regret this week from now when this gets re-brought up about how I said that SGA would cook. Anthony Edwards, but SGA's SGA.
I'm going to be honest. Nobody will cook Anthony Edwards if he's locked in. Nobody.
You put
nobody.
You put
nobody.
You give Kawhi 2 weeks of rest.
And I'm not trying to live. No, Joe. Stop this, Joe. Stop it, Joe. Stop this, Joe, right now. Stop this. What are we doing?
We're lying.
If you give me 2 weeks to get in shape, Joe, do not let this happen,
Kawhi
Joe.
kill anybody, bro.
Oh my God, what are we doing?
Robot
Oh
Kawhi.
Robot Kawhi. He's
I was
saving
too
himself for the
soft on
playoffs.
Kawhi. That was the first name you went to.
This is Robot Kawhi. This is the same. Robot Kawhi is Game 6 Clay. We still been waiting on him. Where is he?
Kawhi been turning up recently. Very quietly, he's been turning up.
Yo, OG, did you forget that Kawhi Leonard outscored Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton in a game 1?
Only 3 of those names matter, really.
Yeah, and 2 of them are your favorite players. Yeah, one of them got you your wife. Remember that. Never forget that. I want you to always remember that.
In the process of doing that, Joe, okay, in the process of doing that, Riv, in the process of him doing that, same logic with the car. What happened when we got on the road, Riv?
That shit was moving, though.
And then what happened, Riv?
Of course, it died. Of course.
The car broke down. God damn, yo.
For the first 2 days, the car looked OD.
Damn. The car was running and then it broke down.
It was a 77 Ferrari, 77 Mustang, something like that.
All I'm saying is, OG, for the first 2 days, you was
tired of hearing this. I'm tired of hearing this. I'm sick of it. Enough already with this guy. And I love Kawhi Leonard. I think he was fantastic when he was fantastic.
I'm just
but I need to see him hold up. He hasn't been able to do that because he can't physically.
It's his knees, bro. They degenerate.
Give Kawhi 2 more weeks.
OG, but we're gonna pretend like Kawhi hasn't been playing better basketball recently. He has.
The same thing happened last year, Rick. Same thing happened last year, Drew, when they was bringing him along slowly. And then we got tricked in the playoffs when we saw him right in the beginning.
OG, you're being unfair. OG, you're being unfair.
But he broke down.
OG,
that's
you're
the problem. I've never questioned Kawhi.
True or false? Why were you low on the Lakers last season? Why? Because of who? Anthony Davis. Because he could break down at any moment, right?
Yes.
But what did AD show you? That when he's on the court, the Lakers can contend with anyone, correct?
Yep, correct.
So let's at least give him the benefit of the doubt right now. He's on the court. He started off slow, but he's starting to get back on track. I'm being kind. But when we know that in the high leverage situations, if he's available, which is the question, if you can rely that he can show up for those moments. True or false?
That's a fact. I saw it last season.
That's all I'm saying.
I saw it last season. That is a fact.
Until we see him break down, which has been the case.
The Clippers, though, bro, I understand having more hesitancy.
I mean, I think I'm back.
We all had the same hesitancy.
The defense has been good. It's the offense that's been lacking. Isn't that ironic? When you have Harden, you have Paul George, you have Kawhi Leonard.
Paul George
has been amazing. Player, probably. But I feel like now that we're seeing Ty Lue be a little bit more consistent with the lineups, where we rarely see
15 minutes.
We rarely see Harden and Westbrook on the court together. The two of them cannot coexist with one another. I think that the one who's definitely not benefited the most, I don't know if you guys can find that substitute word for me. It's Paul George from James Harden coming to the Clippers, where Paul George was easily their best offensive player. James Harden came to town and he definitely took the biggest hit. That's the word I'm looking for. But now Ty Lue's starting to make the right adjustments. We're seeing the right lineups, back-to-back great wins against the Clippers, against the Warriors and the Nuggets, starting to trend in the right direction. So I definitely am not out, but I understand your concerns, OG. There's a history.
Healthy medium.
That's it. Just as long as they're on the court, OG, at least I need to know that your opinion is they can still play high level winning basketball.
The problem
that's it,
is
OG.
I've seen this movie, Drew. I've seen this movie.
But you said it with the Lakers. OG, that's the reason I say that. You said it with the Lakers, and I said trust the process.
Number one, Anthony Davis has played more games than Kawhi Leonard, Paul George.
That wasn't the case.
Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Steph Curry. He's played more games than all these guys over the last 4 years. Yes, he has. He has absolutely done that. That's number one. Number two, Kawhi Leonard. It's obvious. Even though, like you just said, he's turning up. He's going to be able to do it for stretches, which I've seen him be able to do it for stretches. But I feel like with his body, I don't think he can sustain this.
I get it.
I just don't.
I get that.
I don't think he can sustain it.
This went from SGA Anthony Edwards versus Kawhi, who's had one of the best peaks, versus Anthony Edwards.
It was a Lakers topic.
It was supposed to be.
But when it's not a Lakers topic, we always end up talking about the Lakers. So,
I was real, though. I let y'all do your thing.
And he asked me if Anthony Edwards would lock up Steph.
You said yes.
Because Steph would run around screens. If you just put them one-on-one, Steph
basketball.
Steph one-on-one against Ant will lock him up.
It's not basketball.
It's not how it works.
It's not how, like, you think
Like,
it's street
That's
ball?
not how it works, Joe. No,
What?
it doesn't work like that, Joe.
Even still,
No, it doesn't.
Steph Curry's gonna get his.
He's gonna get his, but Anthony was
Who
gonna
the
get his
fuck do you think this guy is?
Let me ask you a question: Is Ant Edwards locking up Kyrie Irving? Yes or no? One on one.
No.
He's gonna do a great job on him.
Nobody locks up Kyrie Irving.
crazy
1-on-1.
him,
Stop. This guy, like, Kyrie,
The
no,
way
stop.
it's crazy, bro. Oh my god.
Kyrie Irving 1-on-1.
Like Anthony Edwards.
No.
You know this.
No.
You know I like
Drew,
Anthony Edwards.
nobody on planet Earth is guarding Kyrie 1-on-1 in a gym. There's just nobody on Earth that can do
You
it.
don't think Anthony can guard him? It could be a great job.
Nobody
Here's another
on
question. Here's
planet
another
Earth, bro.
Is Anthony Edwards guarding 1-on-1 De'Aaron Fox, locking him up?
Not locking. He's doing a great job though.
What does that
Fox is
mean?
very
Like they're gonna
fast.
score and it's gonna be a little hard, like a
No,
little
it's just
sweat
being
break off.
inefficient. What do you mean? No, they'll be dripping sweat.
Kyrie Irving is like,
Not a little
bro.
sweat,
I don't think you want to say
dripping
Kyrie
sweat.
Irving back. Like, you know, I ain't gonna say that. We're gonna seem like
You're gonna see once. I mean, listen. All I'm saying is that Ant Edwards versus SGA. If you talking about in a playoff series when
We've
Ant's
seen
locked,
Kyrie Irving get slowed down, though. We've seen that.
No,
more than once.
OG, we talk about now just in a gym with a ball 1-on-1.
Nah, OG, slow down that Celtics series.
Yeah.
The one versus the Bucks.
Yeah.
Celtics twice.
OG, I'm the only one
Celtics when
respecting
he was
Edwards' defense up here.
Sorry, Bucks twice.
Twice.
Bucks once. Celtics.
Bucks once,
Yeah,
Celtics
pardon me.
once. That's what I'm saying.
Pardon
Two
me.
series.
Right.
But in that series versus the Celtics, it wasn't more so what the
Indiana
Celtics were
slowed
doing.
him down that year too. He wasn't that great against Indiana.
The year
When
that
he was on
20
Boston. The second year.
He didn't.
He wasn't that great against Indiana.
because he didn't play in the playoffs
No.
the first year.
They played Indiana, they swept them, but Kyrie wasn't that great.
Uh-huh.
And then they went to play the Bucks.
Okay. Well, I know for a fact the one against the Celtics, it wasn't more so what the Celtics were doing. It was more so Kyrie just not making the shots that we normally see Kyrie make.
I got locked up by George Hill.
And Anthony Edwards can. Okay, whatever.
No, you said in
How about
we
you respect-
we
You said one-on-one
No, we
open
talking about
gym?
in a gym.
One-on-one open
One-on-one, nobody
gym?
stopping Kyrie.
Like,
That's just nuts. Ant would tell you he probably can't stop Kyrie.
No,
Like,
Anthony. No, he won't. Anthony Edwards would say, "I'll lock anybody in the world."
he told the world Cam Reddish gave his team 50.
yeah.
That was
That
in
video
high school.
saved
That
Cam
was in
Reddish
high
fans
school.
for generations.
Bro, if you listen to Anthony Edwards say anything, and I say, I'm making a daily routine.
said, I ain't
to
gonna
watch
say-
Anthony Edwards interviews for
He
30
said, I
minutes
ain't
a
gonna,
day.
you know what I'm saying? He said, they gave him 50.
If you watch Anthony Edwards talk, he say nobody's better than him. He wants to be the very best.
I mean,
and
that's
he will lock
different
up
than saying-
anybody.
But that's like, that's
So
different.
no, he would not say Kyrie will bust his
You're
ass.
funny, bro.
He will say he will lock up Kyrie, even if it's irrational confidence. He'll say
I mean,
that,
at least you know it's
and he'll
rational
believe it.
confidence.
No. I know it's rational because he could do it. He's
The
really
amount of-
about that.
This you do is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
It's-
I
That's
like
crazy.
Anthony Edwards too. It's
No,
just
he
I
loves
like
him
to
to an
stay
insane
realistic.
amount.
To say he would
Does he
lock
love
up.
more? Do you love Ant-Man more? Or does he love LeBron more?
No, come on.
he can keep the thing with
It's a
LeBron is
conversation, bro.
nothing is unrealistic because it's LeBron.
That's right.
So it's like, we don't look at him any wrong.
Like,
We look at him
loves
because it's
him.
like it's
He loves
crazy what he
Ant.
says, you know.
And he holds up that championship.
LeBron really gives me endless ammo. He really
sure.
is the GOAT. It's so easy.
Not wrong with it.
39.
Not wrong.
What you gonna say when
Blah, blah,
Anthony
blah.
Edwards holding up the championship?
Congratulations
For the city
on
of Minnesota.
on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
He's gonna do it.
So he'll clear KG all time for the Timberwolves?
Yes.
He wins the chip.
Hell no, that ain't enough. Hell no.
Oh God!
Are y'all crazy?
Don't
What
say
the hell are
y'all.
we doing right now?
OG, you just
The
said
hell
he's
are we-
guaranteed to win an MVP. Now he gets a chip.
Right.
No, I think you just talk about the chip, not the MVP.
No, but it also could go hand in hand where we have these assumptions of what Anthony Edwards can be and do in his career. I don't disagree. I think he can reach a top 5 level in the NBA. You think he could reach maybe potential best
He could
player in
finish
the
the
league?
Face of the league.
He could finish as
And-
one of the 20 best players ever in history. I swear.
Joe is definitely not believing that. Joe, if you're gonna say something, you gotta at least believe it yourself first. Come on, brother. Come on, brother. In order for me to sell it to you, Rick, I gotta sell it to myself.
He has
I can't
lost
just-
all credibility.
Come on, brother.
People are gonna look at us crazy. It's gone, man.
He's got a long way to go. He's got a long
He's got a long way to go.
But Dell, what I was thinking about with Anthony Edwards in Minnesota. Okay, if he were to win a league MVP, if he were to win the NBA championship over the course of his career, I mean, Kevin Garnett, we forget he played 12 years in Minnesota. He played 12 years in Minnesota, won the league MVP, was arguably the best defensive player in the league for a long time in Minnesota. He did those things while he was in Minnesota. They did a terrible job building that unit around him.
Yeah.
100% they did. as opposed to what they're doing in Minnesota with Anthony Edwards. I think that they're doing a much better job building a unit around him to give him an opportunity to compete at a high level. But with that being said, Kevin Garnett was still arguably the best four-man in the game at that point. One of the best, if not the best defensive player in the game, A-League MVP. And 12 years in Minnesota, the all-time leading scorer in Minnesota history, the all-time leading rebounder in Minnesota history. I think he's the all-time steals leader in Minnesota history. I think he's the all-time everything. I think he's the all-time assist leader. We're talking about a guy in Kevin Garnett where I'm surprised they don't build a statue of him outside the arena one day.
They need to, and I think it's been ownership. That's the reason why they haven't. I respect KG.
Really?
I do.
I had to go back and watch the
KG.
tape. I have to watch this moment again. That's
top 20 all time is insane.
That's a long way to go, bro.
No, it's a long way to go. I'm not saying it's a guarantee or nothing. I'm just saying I think you get to that level. I think
like we talking about
when
like,
I watch it, I'm watching one of the best players that I think I'm ever gonna see.
Yo, what the fuck?
I swear to God.
We're talking about like you know what's crazy? Like it's crazy because like dudes that he was compared
this is
to,
how we
like,
get back on the Luka.
Like
this is how we get back on the Luka.
Who am I thinking of?
Bro.
Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
He arguably might not be top 20 ever. And look what he did in his career.
Yeah.
And to even get to him is still a life achieving moment. And you talking about this man ain't win a playoff game yet, a playoff series yet. And you talking about, you know what? I think might be arguably the best. You didn't see Steph. You didn't see LeBron. You seen Dirk. You didn't see Harden. You didn't see Tim Duncan. You didn't see Kobe Bryant, his peace and soul. You didn't see Steve Nash. You didn't see so many great players. And the one Chris Paul and the one dude you think might be the best you've ever seen was that man in Minnesota. That is crazy, bro.
Some people sleep, some people are awake.
Wake up again. I like Anthony Edwards. Top 20 ever.
If you were looking at basically the NBA right now, I think currently, as it stands, Jokic, Giannis have a chance to be top 15 all time if they are not already trading.
Top
10.
No, Jokic is
Joker has an opportunity to reach top 10.
Yes, they have that. They're at that type of trajectory right now.
I agree.
The other players,
Luka
has a potential to be a top 20 player all time. He does.
Steph is probably in that 10.
So
KD is like the top 13, top 14 player.
Outside of the obvious players that are already on that trajectory or there, I'm not counting Steph, KD, LeBron, because we know what they are. Giannis, Jokic, we said Luka has a potential.
And that's it. All you do is just fucking regular. That's it. All-star. No.
Tatum.
No.
OG. Do you think Tatum can finish as a top 20 player all time? Does he have the potential to?
Top 20, no.
Top 20. 20.
I know. No,
not
50 or something like. We keep saying top 20. I know how crazy. Kawhi can argue. He's probably like top 30.
No, I think he's top 30.
I'm saying he's probably top 30, and some dudes won't even get to Kawhi.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like Tatum, respect to Tatum. Tatum's what 9 years in. Like he don't have half what Kawhi has. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing? Like this? Like come on, we playing. We
you got OG laying back, chilling. Oh no, I'm looking at the old video. He's kind of just chilling. Like
no, I really think that Anthony Edwards will go down as an all-time great.
How old is Ant right now?
He's 22.
Kawhi get his like first Finals MVP like right there.
I think so.
What are we doing?
Well, he was on the Spurs. It's a little bit different.
You playing?
Hey Joe, I got to bounce, brother, and fellas. You guys know that I always got time for you guys, but unfortunately, I got to bounce.
Go ahead, OG. Do
it's all good, OG.
This is fantastic. As you guys know, I always got time for you dudes, but I got to bounce, man. It was great to see you guys. It was great to have you. Thank you for having me. You guys know where to find me when you need me. I appreciate it.
Take it easy, OG.
Thank you, OG.
Sir. Absolutely, guys. Out.
Have a great night.
Back to you.
Top 20.
Top 20.
I wasn't gonna push Tatum top 20, but
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
I'm not.
I'm shocked.
He hasn't done shit. No MVP.
You know what?
I
fucking respect you about that. I
respect
respect
you.
you.
He's got a whole bunch of
you
UCF.
guys are
we're haters, aren't we?
I'm not saying that Ant will finish there. I'm saying I think he could.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not. It's not the same.
Why would you say it if you don't believe it?
Listen, Riv.
No, we're not letting him off the hook. No. Fuck no.
Bro,
we're not letting him off the hook right now.
Hold up.
No, because we know it. We know it. Drew.
I'm just asking y'all. And I asked y'all at home.
No, they don't know him. We know him.
Because you're misconstruing what I'm saying. If I tell you this will happen versus I think this could happen, is that not two different things?
No, if he tells you
that's
with the smirk on his face, what do you think he means?
DeJounte Murray Without Spurs is out the league.
Same vibe.
Same energy, the same smirk. And he even like nod too with it. Like we know him. They don't know him. We know him. He gave a little head nod, and he was just like, "Well, I think a little shoulder shrug. We know he meant, bro. He just tried to spin it a little bit.
Down with the shit. Go down with the shit.
I think he could finish top 20 all time. I think he can. And JJ Redick thinks he can too.
Yeah.
Shout out JJ.
How many chips does it need to get top 20?
At least 3.
Moly.
I don't know if at least 3, because there are players that are not in the top 15 that they don't have more than 1.
Oh, Giannis? Are you saying?
Giannis only has 1 championship, but he
Jokic,
has
obviously.
accolades. I think as long as you have to get accolades and then a championship to be considered
He doesn't have any
ever in the
accolades.
conversation. No, he doesn't. No, did he win Rookie of the Year? Was that LaMelo?
Are you fucking kidding
they
me?
robbed
Rookie of the
LaMelo.
Year. That's the accolade you was going to bring up.
I get it. Well, listen, he's an all-star. He will be an all-star this year. It's his 3rd NBA season.
He had an all-star last year.
He'll be an all-star
All
last
NBA.
year. He'll be an all-star this year. He'll be an all-NBA player this year. And then next
Got
year,
hope.
in the next 2 years,
24 right now.
in the next 2 years, when he's 24 years old, he'll win a league MVP.
You need to start cooking because being top 20, you got to start
Yeah,
cooking
well,
up
he's
some
22
stuff.
years old.
Joker's
so-
still going to be here in 2 years.
In
Luka's
these-
still gonna be
in
Well,
here.
these
Luka's
next-
already
Tatum's
cooked
gonna
up,
be
what,
in 2
3
years.
All NBAs?
5.
5. What is he, 21?
Tatum's got 3
Yeah,
RBAs.
I was going to say.
Yeah, by the time Anthony Edwards is 25, he could be a 3-time All-NBA player. And then he could just keep adding on to that.
That's cute.
Yeah, be
Well,
right there
that's
with
cute,
Tatum.
but I'm saying he's 22 years old. I think from what I've seen right now, I think he could be one of the tops.
So
Top
what you've seen right
players
now,
all time.
So
ever-
can Rivs say SGA could be top 20 all time?
if he wants to. That's his argument. That's his battle.
and and let's be realistic. Over the past 3 we've seen more
feels
from SJ.
confident in the type of player that he's seeing with his
No,
own
I just
eyes,
understand
can
that
say
that top 20 conversation is very strictly
Tatum is an
Ex-
ECF
like-
MVP. Shout out to Santos.
that's exclusives of the exclusive.
and I
Like,
think Anthony Edwards is
like
exclusive.
to even be like top 10, like Steph had to do historical shit to get in there. You know what I'm saying? Like Hakeem is arguably not in a lot of people's top 10s. You know what he did in his career? We talking about a man that
He's
won
the only
Finals
one that won
MVP
in Jordan's era.
and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. Like this is a different animal. Like, and you telling me like Larry Bird's in there, Kobe's in there. Like this is a group. This is a group.
They asked Tatum that on Iggy and
have you seen
Evan Turner's podcast.
Anthony Edwards' mindset and what he
Hold up,
wants to be in the game?
Joel. You know they asked Evan Turner and Iggy asked Tatum, how does he get into that like elite company top 10 all time? He says he needs to win 3 championships.
Oh, to get into the top 10. Oh, you can't walk in there with 2 unless you've done some very, very slimy days.
The
like
top
shit.
10,
Three to get
listen,
there.
the top 10, top 20 is rare company. Top 20 is rare. Top 10, you have to really stack up.
I mean, why
all-time
not shoot
level
for top
stuff.
10? You said top 20. Why not just go for the stars?
So I'm
Is
saying
that
I
a-
don't know if one championship is gonna get it
Because
done.
top 10 is being arguably the second best guard ever.
Shaquille
And then
O'Neal
Kobe.
has 4 championships, has an MVP. He's
8'9".
one of the
Most
top 10
dominant
scorers
players
ever, the most dominant player in NBA history.
Won it with
And
multiple
in a lot of
teams.
people's lists, he's fringe 10. Fringe. 3 finals MVP. Fringe
crazy.
10.
You don't know
It's
Anthony Edwards. I know him, man.
Clearly, we don't.
And
You watch
clearly,
30
I
minutes,
call each
30
other
minutes
every
of
night,
interviews
you
per
know.
day.
Watch him
FaceTiming
play,
every night
his
and shit.
mindset, what he want to do. He's going to be one of the best 2 guards in league history.
What do we got next, man?
Do we have it? Can we just end the show off that?
Yes.
I wouldn't be opposed.
I want to do this Zion. Would you rather?
Oh,
I
let's do
ha-
it.
I have a
Oh,
would
oh
you
yeah.
rather.
I would love a
Beautiful.
I would love a
I
would
like the
you
would you rather say less. I thought we.
I thought we were gonna do more. I'll be honest. This episode was very vibey.
We got
I don't
so
want to
good.
talk about
They
any
got
more
so
numbers,
good.
the analytical bullshit. Let's just have a fun. Would you
Yo,
rather?
and Joel,
3 hours
let me
in.
say this: where your statement on Anthony Edwards' top 20 all time,
Funny shit.
strong, funny as hell. Stand fucking 10 toes.
Listen, the
Stand
Tyrese
10 toes.
Halliburton thing. You laughed at
Exactly.
me.
We did.
I mean, listen, what am I supposed to stand 10
No.
toes on, though?
The idea that you think that he is an all-time, we're watching the history, the making
History in the
of an
making.
all-time legend.
Well, I think we are, but I can't make a solidified, concise argument that he
Interesting.
can get there.
Because
right
when
now.
D Wade in year 3, after he won the finals, everybody was pretty confirmed. This man is going to be a
And-
top 25 player ever. This is Ant's year what 4?
Just because
I'm asking
D
you a
Wade did it
question.
earlier does not mean
No,
that
all I did
Anthony
was
Edwards
ask,
cannot
all I
do
did
it.
was ask a question. What year is he in?
Ant is in year 3.
Oh, is it?
Okay.
Is it?
No,
No, he's in year 4.
Uh-huh.
He's in-
Okay.
Anthony Edwards is in year 4.
we're expecting some stuff to be in top
They
20. Now the expectations
Hey,
is
WC
And they're
Right
making
here.
the West Conference Finals.
WC
this
good.
year.
No, it starts this year.
And they can make the finals.
Okay,
this year.
it starts this year.
They can win the
You
championship.
put
this year.
listen. If you want to have that
They're
take,
that good.
listen,
They can win the championship.
if you want to have that take,
the Timberwolves
that's
are
fine.
that good. I'm
mean,
trying to let
WC
y'all know that they're that good.
If he wants to have that take, That's fine. You want to stand
They
on
can be
10?
Denver.
Stand on
Top 20
10.
all time came out
Now-
of fucking.
Now it's
left
time. Now
field.
the expectations get put. Now let's ramp it up. I don't want to see you losing in the second round, in the first round. Ramp it up.
Well, you got to understand that everything's a year by year thing. I mean, listen.
Top 20. No, we looking at everything.
It's like Luka. Luka has the potential to be top 20 all time.
And Luka's made the WCF once so far,
He's
and he has
five.
no MVPs.
All.
But I say that with the idea
Yes.
of like, if you said that about Luka,
Well, I think Luka can finish
but
that.
I
too.
still think
And
people would have still been like,
Because
oh
his
my
numbers
Lord.
are also ludicrous.
I don't think it's oh my Lord. I think Luka he
Playoff
has
numbers, too.
the potential to really get
He's
there.
amazing.
Luka is outside of all the older players that are established, like
Yes,
Jokic and
yes.
Giannis. Luka is the
Next
one
up.
that can
Mhm.
definitely
I
be
agree.
top 20. He has the potential to get
he could
there.
be higher than the guys like Joker and Giannis.
Luka has that type of potential. So I understand he does. And I think Luka has more potential than Anthony Edwards to get there. All that being said, just because Ant is in his fourth season, he does not need a championship or an MVP right now to have the potential to be there a couple years from now. There are a lot of all-time greats that
Name
did
one.
not win a
Name two.
championship until they were 28 or 29
No,
or
but
30 years old.
no, but they
Michael Jordan didn't win until he
But
was
Michael
what?
Jordan,
28.
and this is got him. I knew you were going to say that, and I knew you were going to say it. That's why I tried to
And
stop
LeBron
you,
was the same
because
way.
Michael Jordan was already a solidified legend before he won the ring. They already labeled him a legend, and on top of
Okay.
that, he already had multiple MVPs,
MVPs.
Defensive Player of the Year, leading the league in steals,
Yep.
probably led the league in scoring 3 to 4 times. He already had that. Plus, he came in the league at 22, so it was a little different. He already had all that. So rank you don't have to rank their ages, but ranking their years, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. You look at what MJ did by year 5. It's probably what Luka did, and even more than what Luka did. That's
It
the
was more.
difference. Yeah, that's the difference.
Anthony Edwards-
top 2.
Anthony
Yeah,
Edwards
top
is
one.
That's why I don't
Anthony
know what
Edwards
I'm
is
saying.
no. I'm just saying that Anthony Edwards could not win a championship for 7
for
years
sure.
and still be on trajectory to be top 20.
You got to win
So then
something.
why can't this guy say that about Tatum?
I don't mind it.
I
I
don't
think
care.
I think Tatum
I just
I
can't.
think-
I'm not making that statement.
I think Tatum has the potential to be there. When you look at the next guys up, is Luka and Tatum, and I would say Tatum got more potential to finish top 20 than Anthony Edwards right now because
Easily.
he's on a team that is going to be competitive for years to come, which
I
I think
know.
Minnesota can be.
And we've already seen them in the ECF 4 years.
Because when the
Tatum's
Joker
career.
and Giannis, and I'll use LeBron, their first 7 years, they may not have got the championship, but they either got
Multiple
deep in the playoffs
MVPs.
or have multiple. Like they won stuff in the league.
Well, I
So
think
and this is
Jason
only Ant's
Tatum-
4 years, so I'm not gonna.
It's like,
I
bro,
think
before
Jason Tatum-
LeBron's a tough case because before he won
Yeah.
a championship, they were
was
saying, "Is he the best we've ever
Yeah.
seen?"
They're coming out of high school.
Yeah, I think Jason Tatum in the next 4 or 5 years can win league MVP.
But the thing with Tatum is it's tough because he's already in year 8, if I'm not
Seven.
mistaken. He
And he's
hasn't.
only 25 or 26
Yeah, but he
years old.
hasn't won. Like usually, when you in year 7, 8,
Or
what
this
we've
March.
seen from the top guys is they've won an MVP already or a defensive player. Like Tatum hasn't really won it because he started. He wasn't the best player right away. So he
got
started late.
multiple All-NBA
Jokic's first
teams, though.
MVP was 26.
That was
And
his
Jokic took
year
a-
7 though.
I
Or
mean,
year 6.
But that's what
Also,
was that?
I think so.
Tatum has
also
all
we
NBA
have
first
to
teams,
we
though,
have to
back to
take
back.
into account
Fire.
Jokic did not even start getting considered in this conversation until really after he won the championship.
some
People
guys
also
get
thought the
good-
MVPs were
Pe-
fraudulent.
people did not validate his MVPs until he won a championship.
Correct.
Jokic had a phenomenal 3-year peak that cemented him in the conversation.
I'm with you.
Jokic first 3,
Year
4.
6. He won MVP.
Year 6. And Tatum's in years. This is 7. I mean, I'm fine with this.
But Jokic came into the league.
I'm just
older.
not putting any of these 24, 25, or Edwards 22, and they could be top 20. Like they have so
Edwards
long.
22.
to
Steph
go.
and
I know, that's
Joker
what
are the
I'm saying.
exceptions. They became top 15 players of like a 4 or 5 year, just absurd peak.
because Jokic
Steph
didn't come into the
anomaly
league as a superstar.
career.
Yeah.
Anomaly career where he out of nowhere, we knew he had potential as a
Yep,
shooter.
after 24, just
That ankle killed him, but then Jesus, the explosion was once in a lifetime type deal.
So it's usually a peak, and I think Anthony Edwards from right now he's 22.
He's 5 years away from his peak, probably.
Anthony Edwards, I think right now at 22 years old, for the next 10 years, can be an all-star and all
I
NBA
agree.
player.
I think so too.
So if he's a 10-time all NBA player and you have one MVP in there and you have like playoff success, and if there is a championship somewhere in there, yes, we're talking about a top 10 shooting guard of all time. We're talking about he's somebody who has the potential to be top 20 all time.
maybe.
So that's what, and not listen, SGA, these young guys are not excused from the conversation either. I just want to say that too. I don't think Tatum is excused from the convo. I don't think SGA is excused from the convo.
What about Reese?
Reese?
Can we stop?
No. I only say that because it's the same way. It's the same way.
Can we just stop? All right, let's. Would you rather? This is getting bad. Now we're just.
Do you understand what I mean?
Steve Nash is Steve Nash a top 10 point guard all time? Is he a top 6?
He's a top 5 point guard all time.
Do you think Tyrese can be a better point guard all time than Steve Nash? No, definitively. There's no argument. Because I think Tyrese is special. I really do.
It depends on what in terms of accolades, is what you're saying?
Just career production.
Steve Nash didn't start getting the love until he went to Phoenix.
Make it this simple. If Tyrese Haliburton is the player that he is right now, I would take Steve Nash over for the next 8-9 seasons.
I would take Steve Nash over
with 26, 11, insane efficiency. Doesn't turn the ball over.
Only because
Chris Paul and Steve Nash is an argument.
But Chris Paul, I would take over.
I would take Chris Paul.
And Chris Paul has no MVP, so Tyrese can be better with no MVP.
It's not the MVPs for me. People realize with Steve Nash is it was never the fact that he couldn't score 25 points a game, and he talked about it in his interview. He didn't start taking shots until the 3rd or 4th quarter. Yep. His job was his mindset was I want to get my guys going and stuff like that. I firmly believe, and this is just a projection. I firmly believe he could have easily been a 23, 24 point per game scorer with 14 assists.
Amazing
off a shit ton of efficiency. Yep. So if you want the numbers game, Hallie's gonna have the numbers game, of course. But in terms of player for player, I would take Steve. I just think he was a smarter basketball player.
Not disagreeing at all. I'm just only saying that for the idea of we're talking about a young player in Anthony Edwards, projection wise. If you're going to project when the numbers that this guy's putting up too, it's if we're projecting, then you have to keep consistency there.
Listen, I think right now we're in an NBA era where
we're blessed with endless talent.
These young players are going to be the faces of the league. I think Anthony Edwards, Tatum, SGA, grouping in Luka, they're going to be the faces of the NBA they're going to be the face of the 2020s era.
So let me ask you a question. If Trae Young puts up these same numbers,
another one
for 8+ years, would you take him over John Stockton?
Nah. What does he win?
We're just talking about numbers at this point because
that's true. You're right. You're right.
But I'm saying would you prefer the 27 and whatever because it's this era is different? It's
I'll say no because John Stockton's usage wasn't Trae Young's.
Okay.
And John Stockton has a comfortable lead on the all-time assists.
I just think he was a great passer. He's a great defender. So.
Yeah.
And also, they don't talk about how down the stretch of games.
No, John.
That was the closer.
Well, that's what I'm saying because comparing numbers now to pure, those were really. We talk about Hallie being a pure, but those were really legitimately pure point guard.
Oh my God.
So he's just the new Uber point guard in this era. So it's a little bit of both, but those were legitimately.
He's the first pure point guard that we've seen in a long time
for sure.
At this high level, I should say.
Well, yeah, because Chris Paul was
correct.
The closest for sure. Yeah. We haven't seen a 24 and 12 guy in a minute. Darren Williams, Chris Paul, they were a little bit.
I just think that for a while now, there were a lot of players in the mix to be the faces of the NBA where you look at Luka was the one that really became that, and he was even the 3rd overall pick. Ben Simmons didn't pan out. Zion Williamson is looking like he didn't pan out.
Give him a chance.
But the potential.
John Moran was supposed to be the face.
John Moran's still there.
They probably won't do that.
What do you mean by that?
Because situation.
John Moran is still there.
I think after the suspension, so long as he stays out of trouble, and I apologize for cutting you off, Joel. I think if he stays out of trouble, they'll treat it like this never happened.
Yeah, but I think they'll just go to other now Victor's here. They'll go to other directions.
You're saying NBA wise.
Yeah, and I think Cooper Flag is going to be in here. They'll probably go his direction. I just think now
John Moran you turn on a television, you see him flying in the air. I mean, he's a superhero on the basketball court.
I just think that what we're seeing is not normal. It's not normal for SGA to be scoring back-to-back 30 points per game a season when he's under 26 years old.
He's insane.
Tatum averaging 30. Wait, what he's doing at his age. Luka for this 5-year stretch, putting up the numbers that he's doing. It's not normal. I think what we're seeing right now is legitimately not normal.
The juiced up era. It's what's that? The baseball era?
The steroid era.
The steroid era for sure. Numbers are going to be up, man. But we could,
all right.
These players are great.
So what is it? Would you rather on Zion?
Just ejected Jaylen Brown. He's refs.
Why?
The
refs have been dick-eating all year.
This is a would you rather on Zion Williamson. And really, I think it's going to be an interesting one. I really do. Would you rather Zion Williamson addition first name up his teammate Brandon Ingram?
Zion Williamson.
This is the potential of Zion Williamson. Do you take the chance or do you go with Brandon Ingram, the player?
I would take Brandon Ingram.
I'm going to go BI.
This is a tough one. It really is.
It was emphasized last year. What's your ceiling with Zion when he's running your team? Number 1 seed in the West.
Who's more reliable?
Good point.
Brandon Ingram had a stretch where he was the guy, and then he averaged, I think, 29, 8, and 8 down the stretch.
He got them into the play-in.
This is tough. I'm going to still go with Zion Williamson. I will. Domantas Sabonis.
I would go Zion Williamson.
I would take the potential of Zion.
I agree. Zion.
I'm going to go with Sabonis. And the reason why is because the same limitation that Sabonis has in the playoffs, Zion has. Did you know that this year Zion has only attempted 4 mid-range shots?
No, he's garbage.
The year before, he only attempted 9, and his second season when he averaged 27,
better rebounder.
He averaged. He only took 16 shots.
Oh, you're taking Sabonis.
No, I said Zion, but I'm just trying to think in his head.
Who's better, BI or Sabonis?
Sabonis.
Can't really compare, but
no, I understand. In a vacuum, I guess. What would you rather have?
I think Sabonis. I think with Sabonis is one of the engines for the Kings.
I think as a number 2, because I think that's what they're both for. Yeah. I would take BI.
Yeah.
So I look at Sabonis, better rebounder, better passer. He has a better post game. Zion is more of a freak of nature. He's more talented for sure. And the defensive liabilities exist with both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I would go with Sabonis. Like, I don't think if the Kings swap Sabonis with Zion, they get better. I think Sabonis.
And I'm also going to say this could also be another one of my Ben Simmons moment where Zion lacks energy, similar to a Ben Simmons, to just try and get better at his game.
I'll take Zion.
For defense, that's something that I thought that he could potentially learn because he has the athleticism on his side, or I should say maybe had. Well, we know he can still jump out the gym. It's just we haven't seen an effort out of him on that side of the ball, and that's what concerns me. But I know the talent. I know the potential of Zion. So I don't care. I'll die on this hill.
And is it a conversation that if Sabonis was on the Pelicans and complimenting Brandon Ingram, they could be a better team?
Maybe
he'd be on the court.
Zion we're seeing has been so just not the version of Zion we should.
I still think they'll have a defensive issue, which is what they have at Valanciunas, but they definitely get better offensively.
And let me also ask you a question. 2021 Zion, where he was 27 points per game on 61% efficiency.
Like a lifetime ago.
Would I be wrong?
TJ Warren bubble.
Would I be wrong to say last year's Zion was better than that 2021 version?
I think so.
I look at last year's version, the fact that he was running point, that he was
30 games.
I understand that. It was a small sample size. That being said, in that 30 games, I felt as if he was better than he was in 21.
I will always take the 60 over the 30.
He still was the 60 games.
Yeah.
Okay.
RJ Barrett.
What the
Zion.
fuck? Zion.
With all due respect to RJ.
I'm going with
Shout
Zion.
out to Star J. Hope you get better soon, King.
Darius Garland.
Still go Zion. I like Garland.
You don't gotta lie here.
I like Garland, but when it comes to you, I don't care for him.
I think DG is a great player, but I would take Zion's potential.
That's tough. I'll lean Zion though.
I would go with Zion. Ja Morant.
And I told y'all this, man. Ja was the one, man. Ja fucking Moran. Here.
I'm going with Ja.
Who said he wasn't?
I think we had a topic on Ja or Zion. I think going back.
Yeah, that was one of the
number 2 overall pick. Who
That's
said he
tough. You have to lean Ja because he's been on the court more.
You could lean the big guy.
But I know my heart wants to.
Go with your heart. Would you rather's are about your heart? That's your brain.
A little bit of both.
It is a little bit.
Definitely
of both.
70-30 your heart.
It is. Brain. No, it's all heart in my opinion. To be real,
Cook.
I'll take Ja.
Lauri Markkanen.
Lauri.
If you said that, you said it with some confidence.
That boy,
in your voice.
He's very good.
He's really good.
He can plug on any team.
He can fit anywhere.
Lauri.
I would go Lauri too.
I'm gonna stay Zion.
I go Lauri.
Scotty Barnes.
Zion Williamson. Scotty has a very strong upside. Zion's different.
Even with Scotty's upside, Zion has already
he's already shown that.
The upside that Scotty, I think, has.
The problem with Zion is he has not gotten better in 4 years.
It's not true. He was better last year.
Was he? Or was he just what was he better at?
Passing the ball.
And then this year, is he better at passing the ball?
He's still good at passer, but what has been not there
post game is
assertiveness.
Still nothing. Defense non-existent.
His
shooting
energy, his vibe on the court.
His energy. It's that. That's really what it is.
I mean, but what's the problem?
I don't know.
I would go Zion, big boy.
I would go Zion as well. Julius Randle.
Zion
Williamson.
I'm gonna go with Zion.
The lack of playoff production from Julius.
Chet Holmgren.
Chet. Comfortably.
Yeah, that boy. Yeah,
50, 40, 90 as a rookie. What he's doing at fucking 7
Missed
foot.
the whole year already too.
Hey, LeBron did that.
He's been healthy.
When?
Remember, he got hurt. That was LeBron. In the Seattle game, LeBron hurt him. That was the injury.
Oh, yes. You're 100% right.
I'm going to go with Chet because of what he brings defensively. And I think he's going to be a great offensive player too.
You guys said Chet very fast.
Chet's been the easiest one for me. He's going to be.
Chet was very comfortable.
He's very good.
That's another unicorn.
Yeah.
I'll take Chet Holmgren.
Cat.
Gotta respect Karl Anthony Towns.
I'll go Cat.
I'm going to go Cat as well.
Damn.
I don't blame you for thinking about this.
Yeah.
No, it's a tough one for sure, but
Just because he's been in the league, he's been consistent, although he struggled with injuries in his own right.
I'll take what I know with Cat.
Pretty reliable.
Pascal Siakam.
I'm gonna.
I would honestly take Zion's potential.
I think so too.
I would say
I'm not a fan of Siakam's game. I think it's hard.
You know, I like Siakam.
You do. You're a Raptor guy.
I am.
Those are your guys, man.
Even though the way they treat you, I don't like it that much.
Because they lose every war we have, you know.
I'll go.
Stand.
Damn.
Stand on business.
Fuck, bro, that's tough. I'll go Zion.
I wanted to see what the comments will say about you.
And the last name is Alperen Şengün.
I'll go Zion Williamson.
I'm gonna go with Şengün.
I'll
I'm
go
going with
Şengün.
Alperen Şengün.
Yeah, I'll go with Şengün too. Offensive engine. I like that.
I like what I see Scoon a lot.
How the mighty have fallen.
That's
man.
why I mean,
You know, you're one for two on European players.
I think I'll go Zion.
Why? Because of
Giddy sucks.
Giddy.
Şengün was
Şengün.
the one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Şengün
is
was
the
the
one.
one.
Undoubtedly.
That's the one. You hit on that one ASAP.
we're gonna call LaMelo.
We don't call him a European player.
I only ask because
He just played overseas.
Yeah, he's an American for sure.
Yeah, there was a report design that came out that the Pelicans have repeatedly stressed to Williamson that his diet and conditioning needs to improve, but the veteran forward doesn't listen, according to Christian Clark of the Times Pick for You.
This is like when they were trying to make Kyler Murray read the playbook. That's what it feels like.
To be honest,
I just want to know
he's done with the
who
Pelicans,
is
bro.
who is leaking the
He
shit
is
out.
done.
He doesn't want to be on the Pelicans.
You think it's Zion? Why? No, Zion's can't leak that. Who
Go
is
ask for a
leaking that
trade.
out?
I think the Knicks, they've been waiting for this one. This is
I
the one.
low key. I agree. Pair him and RJ back up again.
What would the Knicks give up?
For who?
Everyone.
For Zion.
Who would the Knicks give up?
Yeah, I'm saying, like, what would be that?
Zion
package?
hasn't got paid, has he?
Randall.
He did. He got
RJ,
a-
yeah, he did get paid.
He got his rookie max.
Yeah,
You
I
think
mean,
they-
listen.
You think they want Randall with Murphy there? They got Bia, then they got
Nah,
Kerr.
probably not. This is the thing with Zion. This is the real issue, is that he really does have the talent to be over
100%.
almost every name that we mentioned. But I think from his second year averaging 27 to now this year, he's averaging 22 a game
Mhm.
and just looks disengaged. He's doing it to himself. And a year from now, we can look at every player that we took over Zion and be like, we're ridiculous for even taking him over Zion. But at this point, he has been very disappointing. And I think he has the potential to turn the narrative around, but he has to
I hope he does.
be
man.
more
It
engaged.
breaks
Hope
my
he
heart.
does,
Y'all
'cause-
know I'm a Zion guy.
I'll say when he's on, bro, he's one of the most fun players you're gonna watch in the league.
Zion Williamson is box office. When he's jumping out the gym, when he's making plays like that, he's special to watch. He really is a one-on-one player when it comes in that regard. Two players with the efficiency and the points per game that Zion has, and it's him and Giannis. The only two players, the two most dominant players in the league. Zion's name has to be in that conversation. We'll throw Jokic in there too because he's dominant in his own way. But it's unfortunate and partially sad that he doesn't seem to want it as bad. It's like fans like me who know what he can be. It's like it's
want him more
weird.
than
I
him,
want
it
him
feels
more than
like.
Zion.
Facts.
That
I
is
feel
how
you.
it feels,
I
and
feel you.
it's kind of weird to say that out loud, but it's the
Yeah.
truth. It's like I've seen what you can be. You've shown it to us so early on in your career, and you're kind of cheating us out of it.
Yeah, that's a shame, man.
And that's
Let's
gonna
hope they
do
get
it
straight.
for this episode
Oh,
of
pick a side.
Close the show first, boy. Close the show
Ram,
first.
close it out. Close it out.
I did do it one time. I can't do it again.
Nah, come on, come on.
If you close it out, just make sure to mention the ticket giveaway that we got going on right now. It's on the screen.
All right. And that's going to do it for this episode of Pick a Side Podcast.
Episode
Don't-
333.
Episode 333. Don't you forget, we have a ticket giveaway. You can take your girlfriend, you can take your mom, you can take your dad, you can take your brother, you can take whoever you want, your best friend. Make sure you tap in
Your
the
sneaky
prize
link.
pick, you deposit whatever
What's
you
the
want to
code?
deposit.
What's the code?
The code is forever and always will be PAS.
Yeah, look.
Pick a Side Podcast. I definitely did look. Thank you, boys, for being here. Thank you for the guys that's interviewers. We'll see you next time.